Looks like I need to notify headquarters. Meanwhile, on the other side, Yi Feng felt no anger after his clone was destroyed. Instead, he poured himself a glass of red wine, feeling quite pleased. Now, let's enjoy a wonderful show together. Before he could finish speaking, Leng Xiao raised his hand again. I have no time for your nonsense. With that, a stronger burst of energy directly engulfed the shadow. This time, it was completely annihilated. However, Leng Xiao felt a bit concerned at this moment, thinking, this Yi Feng is different from the other transmigrators. After saying that, he raised his hand and struck out with a palm. The powerful energy directly shattered the wall. Behind the wall, a shadow that was also shattered was repairing its body. After a while, that shadow fully restored itself. Yi Feng's voice came through. Your energy is quite interesting. However, the blonde guy's eyes suddenly turned blood red. Then he suddenly stood up. A scarlet magic energy began to spread around. Seeing this, Leng Xi said to Yi Feng, you really know how to play. You sent the 5 fiends to their deaths. How could you tell me that Yi Feng is still alive? After saying this, he threw a powerful punch. The blonde guy was hit and immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. Cold Fourth young master turned around and scolded him to get lost quickly. Let me see where your lair really is. Sure enough, not long after, that blonde guy found Leng Xiao. He was about to explain the mistake of this operation. Cold Fourth young master stood up and shouted angrily, as the leader of the 3 heroes. However, as the blood splattered, Yi Feng's demonic aura had already completely surrounded that guy. Seeing this, Yi Feng coldly said, escape with my demonic aura. His gaze immediately became sharp. His body swayed in the air and shattered the glass. He landed in a room. Then he simply raised his hand lightly, and in an instant, the pursuing blood slave was smashed to pieces from a distance. The leader took the opportunity to jump from the 100-meter-high building. As he glanced back, he was still in awe of Yi Feng's terrifying power. But how could Yi Feng let him leave easily? He ordered the blood slave to chase decisively. When the leader Nai noticed the pursuers, the leader knew he was no match for the enemy. At this point, he had no choice but to run. So he quickly touched a formation with his fingertips. The next second, an explosion erupted inside the room. Thick smoke blocked Yi Feng's vision. The leader who previously attempted to assassinate Yi Feng is now kneeling on the floor. The one subduing him is Yi Feng's anger. In a moment, Yi Feng pushes the door open and cheerfully says, you swore to become my servant or become my blood demon puppet just like him. Afterward, Yi Feng felt restless for a long time. It's not because of Suner's sexy figure, but because the opponents I face now are becoming increasingly strong. So he decided it was time to counterattack. In the hotel room, Yi Feng was subjected to an assassination attempt. Although the enemies were dealt with, his subordinates faced the danger of falling due to this battle. To save them, Yi Feng had no choice but to sacrifice some of his own life energy. A weak, useless waste, possessed by the Demon King. All those who once humiliated him were slaughtered. However, this retaliatory killing has uncovered the deepest secrets of this world. A few days ago, Luo Chen let out a heart-wrenching scream. Yi Feng, however, turned his head. His tone was icy. My #1 star. This work looks forward to your performance. I never get tired of seeing Lu Yu's pathetic struggle. The next second, the demon annihilation blood curse was unleashed. Luo Chen was trapped by the magic ring, unable to move. As the ring tightened instantly, Yi Feng has come behind him. Luo Chen senses murderous intent. He swiftly thrust backward. However, Yi Feng easily blocked it. He said coldly, in an instant, the demonic figure passed through the crack in the door and entered the room. In the blink of an eye, Yi Feng's figure began to condense, and his eyes have already locked on a man in the room through the door. And this guy is Luo Chen, the lackey of the Alliance. Just a moment. After successfully checking in, Lone Wolf started wandering aimlessly. As he passed by a room, he sincerely asked, Your Majesty, the Demon Emperor? You said carefully, and a demonic shadow instantly spread under his feet. At this moment, Yi Feng calmly pulls out a black card. The receptionist hurriedly turned away and said, Please wait a moment. I'll immediately have the manager kick out the people in the presidential suite. Seeing this result, Yi Feng and his companion exchanged a smile, but cold sweat is running down his face because the Demon Emperor has now become his lackey. They arrive at the hotel front desk. The Lone Wolf confidently says, I want to book the presidential suite for a week. However, the receptionist says the presidential suite is fully occupied. Shuer asked Yi Feng with deep concern what he was planning to do. Yi Feng responded with a sinister smile. I need to go catch a few helpers. The scene shifts. The Lone Wolf is wearing a suit. Meanwhile, Yi Feng pondered and remained undefeated. Looks like I need to move my plan ahead. The next second, Yi Feng swiftly set things in motion. You all go back to the Bai family. Make sure to protect Lin Lan and the old man. Miss Bai completely lost it when she heard that. Oh my god, grandfather, you're out of your mind. Suer smirked mischievously at the sight, thinking to himself, maybe he should bring this girl into Lord Demon Emperor's harem. However, Sewer has already received the tip-off. Miss Bai, your front door just got smashed to pieces by Lang Xiao, and your grandfather said that even in death, he wouldn't hand over Lord Demon Emperor. I just killed a young master from the Long family. They will definitely come to your Bai family for an explanation. Miss Bai is completely panicking right now. She is thinking about calling her grandfather immediately to completely sever ties with Yifeng. But Yifeng sneered. I guess the Lang family is already targeting your Bai family. I'm thinking about how to cut ties with your family. Upon hearing this, Miss Bai grew anxious. What did you say? The Lang family is going after my Bai family? The entire Jiang family knows that your family is close to mine. The fourth young master of the Lang family got out and was ready to confront Yifeng. Meanwhile, Yifeng was staring blankly at Suner's sexy figure. At this moment, both of them seemed to be reminiscing about what happened in the car yesterday. At this point, Miss Bai said helplessly, you two have been staring at each other for ages. Should I step out and give you another chance? Yet Yifeng smirked, saying there's no need to worry, because more and more blood slaves will appear next. Yifeng, come out and face your death. Just now, a luxury car crashed directly into the Bai family courtyard. Blood slave was always meant to be given to you. Miss Bai became a bit anxious upon hearing this. Yifeng, the blood slave is so strong. You just let him go. Blushing shyly, he happily tugged at his clothes. Lord Demon Emperor, if you're not displeased, you can command the two of them as you wish. However, Yifeng gently replied, no need. Li Feng got off the car, completely naked. Are you the twin ghosts of heaven and earth? Miss Bai was shocked and said, these two are the strongest fighters of the ghost sect. Blood slave can actually hold them off alone? At this moment, Suner, the leader of the ghost sect, got off the car, her face flushed with mockery. In an instant, the neck and abdomen of the earth fiend were pierced by the two. Yet, his wickedly charming appearance was clearly unharmed. At this moment, the ghost puppets communicated telepathically, intending to attack again. However, a terrifying demonic aura suddenly blocked their path. However, all he received in response was a more intense shaking of the car. As the ghost puppet was about to attack the sedan, a magic balloon beside them suddenly exploded. In the next second, the previously trapped earth fiend actually released demonic energy to push back. However, this pair of ghost puppets was clearly not weak either. I'm doing this to save you. Please don't blame me. As he spoke, the vehicle began to shake violently. At this moment, a pair of ghost puppets suddenly charged toward the car. Miss Bai shouted loudly for Yifeng in a hurry. Miss Bai, though still a bit confused, but I also dare not hold back my anger. The Demon King Yifeng lifted Shui'er's clothes. He thought that the only way to save Shui'er now was to inject life energy into her body. Thinking of this, even the dignified Demon King showed a complex expression. These words frightened Miss Bai so much that she was trembling all over. She thought to herself, good thing I never crossed her. Yifeng placed Suner into the car. Then he turned and said, stay aside. Don't disturb me while I save her. I must act quickly to save her. Miss Bai looked at the nearby magic balloon and asked, what should we do about the woman inside? Her soul will be dissolved soon. From now on, it will forever be part of my blood. This is the price of hurting those close to me. Yifeng sighed, what a silly girl. At that moment, Miss Bai hurried over with clothes in hand. Yifeng, Shui'er, is she okay? Yifeng replied, she's very unstable right now. The fear deep within him instinctively made him cry out for help. However, the next moment, he was already silent, wrapped in the magical energy. After dealing with all this, Yifeng walked towards Sunair. He gently picked Sunair up, looking at the girl in his arms who was unconscious. Injure me and you still want to live? With that, Yifeng expressionlessly pulled out the dagger. In the blink of an eye, the dagger was easily crushed. At the same time, the earth spirit was completely surrounded by Yifeng's magical energy. He felt an unprecedented sense of despair. However, his body could no longer move. It turns out that the demonic energy dispersed earlier had formed blood threads, completely binding him. No matter how much he struggled, it was futile. Nightwind watched coldly from the side. Chilling demonic energy erupted from Yifeng's body. The fleeing Emperor Sha sensed the danger. He quickly turned to defend against the incoming demonic energy. How dare you show off such petty tricks? With that, Disha raised his hand to strike back. Was still thinking about escaping. Yifeng glanced back, and the surrounding air instantly turned freezing cold. The next second, Scarlet Eyes lit up, and the deadly sand blood strike was unleashed. He apologized. Immediately, the car started to shake violently. It turned out that 10 minutes ago, someone had stabbed him in the back, but a mere fatal wound was nothing to the Demon King. Meanwhile, the attacker nearby. You and your bunch of ghostly beings should head to hell. A sexy, smooth-skinned beauty suddenly appeared in the deep pit. Yi Feng picked her up without hesitation, appreciated carefully. Then Yi Feng brought her into the car. As the explosion echoed from afar, Suner was clearly in imminent danger. Yi Feng intended to rush over to check, but at that moment, a long knife pierced through his chest. Disha said with a wicked smile, "Lord Demon Emperor, watch out." A cold wind swept past Yi Feng from behind. The attack from the five fiends was already within reach. In that moment, Suner pushed Yi Feng away. Facing the combined strike from both attackers, Yi Feng shouted Suner's name. Yi Feng teleported and pierced into his body. As the scythe harvested, the first kill was made. Suner looked at Yi Feng with joy, but the next second, she suddenly shouted, "My lord!" Yi Feng looked at Suner, analyzing the situation. These people clearly borrowed the Azura soldier masks. The power of the five fiends has increased by several times. Suner struggled to strike out. Yi Feng is afraid Suner will rush in. In a critical moment, Yi Feng summoned a ghost. The scythe repelled the attacks of the two. In his eyes, without the Demon Emperor, I wouldn't exist. Even if I have to burn all my blood and energy, I must ensure Yi Feng's safety. The attack of the five fiends is very strange. I can see their bodies emitting the same purple glow. Yi Feng looks at Suner and shouts, "I order you not to come over." Suner, already fighting for a long time, spits black blood from his mouth without hesitation. After saying this, the Earthsha suddenly erupted with purple light from its chest. With a distorted face, he laughed maniacally and said, "Say goodbye to your master." His wife and children feel the pressure of death closing in. "Sir, leave here quickly." The purple glow in Dish's chest is guiding the five fiends. You all are truly pathetic. On the other side, Suner is locked in a fierce battle with the Earthsha. The Earthsha has also noticed the situation of the five Sha. These five useless ones are still so easy to defeat. However, our goal has already been achieved. Ghostly energy began to swirl around his right hand. In just an instant, the other three were all severely injured. Yi Feng took a deep breath, suppressing the restless ghostly energy within. As soon as he finished speaking, Yi Feng charged forward and threw a punch. The other three finally reacted. They launched an attack, but Yi Feng looked at his palm with a mischievous smile. The weaker spearmen spat out blood. They fell to the ground, unable to rise. The man with the little mustache looked at Yi Feng. He angrily shouted, "Who the hell are you? How can a mere lion have such power?" Completing the mission comes first. Yi Feng's fiery eyes emit a red glow. The phantom beast behind him begins to appear. In its lion form, it lets out a roar. The five attackers were blown away by the sound. He said playfully, "Why don't you all come at me? I can save some time." The five killers leap into the air together. They don't care about outnumbering their opponent. Their priority is to kill Yi Feng, the demon emperor who fought against heaven and earth. Then Suner looked at the earth fiends with a mischievous smile. The earth fiends also noticed the enraged Suner. The two of them began to fight again. Yi Feng beckoned to the five fiends. Yi Feng could tell Suner was struggling in the fight. "Leave these people to me. No need to intervene." Suner looked at Yi Feng with some infatuation. He is indeed still the same one from back then. Watching Yi Feng walk away, Bai Yi shouted out loud, "Don't worry. I believe you all can win." Yi Feng swiftly approached Suner. Clearly, the power of the five fiends is not to be underestimated. Clearly terrified by the earlier attack, Yi Feng helplessly knocked on the glass and reminded, "Miss, you should hide on the side. One wrong move and you'll lose your coffin money. I'll handle these guys." Suner launched an attack directly at the five fiends. Yi Feng was about to stop her, but then looked at the car. At this moment, the woman in white was already stunned. Seeing the ferocity of his pursuers, Yi Feng licked the corner of his mouth. "Looks like I'll feast again tonight." Suner stepped in front of Yi Feng at that moment. "Master, you'd better take Miss Bai and leave." Can you believe this man was already broken? And yet, he still had the energy to overpower the beautiful CEO. Remember, never provoke the Demon King, or the price you'll pay is being devoured by him. Yi Feng was being hunted by the five fiends of the Alliance. Yi Feng casually got out to inspect. "Your welcome ceremony is quite unique." Disha squinted his eyes, sizing up Yi Feng. "He's pretty handsome, but too bad, tonight will be your death." Bandage Man lifted a huge boulder and hurled it. Yi Feng sensed the threat. The two women on the roof of the car turned to check as well. As the boulder smashed into the ground, the car finally came to a stop. Mui thought they'd have to strip completely, but Disha covers his chest and speaks, "You little girl, you're ruthless." At that moment, the five fiends were in pursuit. Disha starts with a sidekick. Suner's clothes instantly shred, but Suner isn't one to take it lying down. He smirks and raises his palm. The next second, Dish's clothes tear open. Disha curled her lips and gave a seductive smile. Am I not good enough for you, dear? As soon as she finished speaking, the two of them began to fight. He also wants to see how strong his favorite warrior is. Schwer climbs onto the roof. He recognized the woman in front of him. Oh no, how could it be you? Schwer senses their presence. With a mischievous grin, she says, Lord Roti, focus on driving. I'll take care of them. Yifeng smiles and nods. It scared the man in white. The car crashed through the barrier into another lane. At that moment, there was a noise from the roof. The Earth Fiend pursuers are here. Schwer anxiously said the navigation only mentioned the fastest route, but didn't mention the worst jam. Just as he finished speaking, Yifeng suddenly turned the steering wheel. The car swerved sharply. He must be killed. The five fiends shouted in unison. We will ensure the mission is completed. On the other side, Yifeng is driving his car towards the Ghost Gate, but the whole way is stuck in traffic and quickly surrendered. Watching then gave the battle order. The five evils went to assist Master DJ. He went to hunt down Sooner from the Ghost Gate. This person's strength is extraordinary. You still want to stir up trouble? How about I play with you? Luo Chen isn't a fool. The strength of this person before him is overwhelming. He tossed the dagger in his hand. You five are lucky to escape with your lives today. The spear wielder was already angry, but was stopped by his third brother from behind. Hua Qing turned her head with a smile, but her eyes betrayed a coldness. Even the spear immediately admitted fault. Lord Hua Chang is right. It was my recklessness. Luo Chen glanced at the five evils. Since Lord Tianjia has spoken, the two sides were about to fight. Suddenly, a sinister wind swept through. Then, a ghostly voice echoed. Why are our own people fighting each other? Everyone present didn't dare to breathe. The five of you would have met your fate on the spot. There were already rifts within the alliance, and his words only worsened the five fiends' expressions. The spear wielder was especially furious. They wanted to kill Luo Chen. At this moment, the deep voice of the alliance's five demons echoed, saying the entire Ghost Gate hadn't seen those two dead ghosts. As long as the key figure is still alive, everything we've done this time is for nothing. But Luo Chen mockingly said, you should be thankful if those two ghosts were still around. Upon hearing this, Luo Chen licked the dagger playfully. It seems the Ghost Gate will soon cease to exist. To wipe out a whole clan so easily. How truly pitiful. The attackers were naturally from the alliance. Ren Jia, Luo Chen, is toying with a dagger and grins, saying that tonight will be an interesting hunting game. At this moment, the subordinate reported that none of the experts from the Ghost Gate remained. Only some small fry are left defending. The alliance has been destroyed. All of this was his doing. But just now, Shuai received word from the shadows that the members of the unorthodox sect were ambushed. The Ghost Gate will no longer exist for zombies. Once the Ghost Gate is cleaned up, the target will be King Yifeng. Yifeng has been on Earth for 3 months. The government has been destroyed. With a strong pull from the boy's hand, he thrusts forward with agility. A group of people crawled out from near the warehouse. The white-haired man made a gesture across his throat. After tonight, what did you say? Someone has ambushed the Ghost Gate. On the other side, at the Ghost Gate's port base, the patrolling security is conducting a night inspection. But in the next moment, a thread wraps around his neck. Isn't she the little girl from back then? Looks like he misunderstood her. Just then, Sooner's phone rang. His expression changed dramatically after answering the call. I'll tell you anyway. Then Shuri immediately knelt down. Lord Demon Emperor. The Demon Emperor's elite unit, rear gate, reporting to you. At this moment, Yifeng examined you closely, lost in memories. So, Lord Demon Emperor still remembers the Ghost Gate, huh? Lord Demon Emperor, it was you who told us to hide our identities back then. But if you insist, and said in a deep voice, I need an answer from you. Are you connected to the Ghost Gate we established back then? Schwer lowered her head, chuckled lightly, then looks up at the bright moon in the sky. Several people arrived at the rooftop. Sooner looked at Yifeng. She smiled and said, Lord Demon Emperor, are you that eager to see me? Yifeng squinted slightly. Sooner, could you come to the Red Diamond nightclub? When Yifeng heard that name, he was a bit confused. Does he know this person? Half an hour. I need you to arrange a meeting with their leader. Shinjiroa took a deep breath. I was going to curse you out, but then I thought I could just hang you soon. Immediately pulled out my phone and started contacting someone. This organization has infiltrated all governments around the world. Try not to provoke them. Yifeng looked at Shinjiroa disdainfully. As long as they don't provoke me. By the way, is Goimen one of yours? He teased. you little one. You should still be warm in bed. The three of them then entered the private room. Before leaving, Shin Jiruo had many things to instruct. The largest organization under Yifeng right now is MANHUA. Won't you demonstrate it personally? The girl in white shyly pulled Shin Jiruo over. Yifeng, you shameless scoundrel. Every day, you just know how to tease girls. Yifeng looked at the flustered girl in white. Then she looked at the person in white behind her and smiled as she said, next, I will be transferred from the Jiang family. In the future, any matters will be handled by her in my place. However, Yifeng directly held Shin Jiruo's chin. So, if it's something like keeping the bed warm, alright, big brother, you're ruthless. Just this once. It won't happen again. Faced with this man Yifeng, Shin Jiruo felt helpless. Yifeng chuckled indifferently. So it seems, Miss Chin's organization behind the scenes doesn't want to make peace. I haven't forgiven you for trying to assassinate me. Shin Jiruo hurriedly waved her hand. He looked at Miss Chin, who was following closely behind. Yifeng teased, saying that Director Chin arrived quite quickly. Shin Jiruo clearly did not expect Yifeng to have such means. Don't go too far. We also have our limits. Yes, my lord. Yifeng took out his phone and contacted the fatty. Tell him that the Red Diamond nightclub will belong to him from now on. Without waiting for the fat guy to ask more questions, Yifeng hung up the phone. Yifeng looked at the few people with a playful gaze. This will be my territory from now on. If the people from the alliance come in, there will be no mercy. After receiving Yifeng's orders, the few of them knelt down. They all responded in unison. You'll become my demon soldiers instead. Yifeng then unleashed the demonic fire from his killing technique. Everyone's eyes were suddenly attacked by demonic energy. One by one, they stood up, like walking dead. The old man is unable to move at this moment. What exactly did you do to us? Yifeng glanced mischievously at the big guy nearby. I was going to tear your bodies apart, but I changed my mind. The snake woman looks on in disbelief. What on earth did you do? The big guy's fists are wrapped in Yifeng's magical energy, and Yifeng looks disdainfully at everyone. You must be the leader here, old man. At that moment, a cold wind swept from behind. As a Class C psychic, the big guy wants to sneak attack Yifeng, but his swinging fists can't reach him. But now Yifeng has arrived at the royal city on his path to godhood. Yifeng came to the alliance's territory alone. Today, he has only two things to do. Either make these people submit to him, or make sure they die without a trace. The king has seized the bodies of humans. Yifeng's name echoed throughout the ability world overnight. He personally executed the disgrace of his family, and he killed the well-known eldest son of the Lung family. Originally, Yifeng was seen as a waste by others. In just an instant, the yellow-haired one fell silent. The snake woman and the old man were also shocked by this scene, yet Yifeng merely gestured with his hand. Who wants to come first? After saying that, Yifeng put more weight on the foot he had on the door. Hearing the scream of the yellow-haired one, Yifeng joked, "It's so cold on the ground. How did you manage to crawl in?" After saying that, Yifeng's demonic aura began to emanate. The strong impact pinned Blondie to the ground. Meanwhile, Yifeng laughed as he watched everyone. Oh wow, is this a meeting? Are you discussing how to deal with me? There was a knock on the door. Blondie cursed and asked, "Don't you know who we are? Are you blind?" He came here intending to open the door and check, but the next second, the door came crashing down. Yet Yifeng is in such a hurry to deliver himself to death. The old man with white hair on the sofa took a deep drag of his cigarette. The snake woman seems quite interested. Then I'll let you have him to play with. At this moment, they had already received the news of Yifeng entering the hotel. The blonde guy laughed heartily. So, Yifeng turns out to be just another brainless fool. The snake woman on the side also smiled and said the useless young master of the family. Killing him wouldn't prove much strength. But you brought this upon yourself. Yifeng looked at him with a mischievous smile. Thank you for your kind words. In the VIP room of the Little Cutie Hotel, a few bigwigs from the Alliance were chatting. Yifeng turned and walked away. But after just a few steps, the burly man chased after him. No matter what you're planning, don't say I didn't warn you, you'll die in there. Are you going to reject me? The hotel only serves VIPs. The burly man, trying not to cause panic, awkwardly said, "Mr. Yi, you really know how to joke. We're very welcoming." Yet Yifeng took out his VIP card. He waved it in front of the muscular man. "Brother, I'm here to spend money." He then shouted, "Aren't you open for business? I'm here to give you money." Yifeng squinted his eyes as he looked at the person. "Do you have any objections?" The burly man frowned and replied, "Coming to the Alliance's territory at this time, aren't you afraid of going back without your life?" Just as he got out of the car, a waiter ran over. Yifeng directly threw out the car keys, but at that moment, a pair of large hands snatched them. It turned out that Mr. Yi had arrived. "Isn't it inappropriate for you to come uninvited?" Recalling what Dr. Chin said during the day, he mentioned that there are factional struggles within the organization. So, he was unaware of the assassination attempt against me during the day. To earn my approval, he even revealed the secret base of the alliance. Well then, tonight, Yi-Feng, will have a good meeting. The lone wolf tilts his head and asks the demon emperor what he plans to do. Yi-Feng looks out the window. He smirks and says it's better to strike first. Tonight, I'll first go greet the alliance. Yi-Feng drove his sports car to a hotel. Yi-Feng opens the door. He coldly says that the matter of the demon star must be investigated thoroughly. But right now, we have to deal with the Lang family. Since the Lang family has issued a kill order against me, Yi-Feng, will not sit back and wait for death. Whether God or Buddha, Lone Wolf, will follow without regret. Yi-Feng didn't respond. But from this moment, Lone Wolf was already in Yi-Feng's heart as a brother. What a display of dominance. Even the so-called three great rulers were easily trampled by you. Everyone on Demon Star sees you as a hero, including me, Lone Wolf. So, Lord Demon Emperor, whatever path you choose, to say I don't hate is a lie. But you charged all the way to the position of the Demon Emperor. I couldn't have done that. Killing your way through with bloodshed. The entire Demon Star willingly submitted. In the end, you lost to me. Don't you hate me? Lone Wolf put away his usual goofy smile and looked up at the ceiling, lost in memories. Not a guard dog. Can't you have some ambition? But Lone Wolf just grinned foolishly and said, I'll keep watch for you. Yi-Feng scolded, back on Demon Star. I competed with you for the village's promotion rights. He once relied on his own hands to reach the highest peak, but now the Demon Star has no clues at all. Yi-Feng thought of his experiences on Earth. His heart was filled with anger. He sat up and shouted angrily, you are a lone wolf, and provocatively licked the blood from his hands. This is the style of the Demon Emperor. Late at night, Yi-Feng returned to the villa building in Qingdai. He opened his 5 fingers to block the light, but the memories of the Demon Star began to surface bit by bit. Yi-Feng licked the blood on his hands, seeking something from me. Just don't do anything unnecessary, because I am a demon. Yi-Feng directly killed a member of the Alliance's shadow department. We need talents. We need more knowledge about extraterrestrial beings like you. Yi-Feng waved his hand, directly attacked the shadow next to him. The doctor girl was obviously frightened by Yi-Feng's actions, imagining it must have cost a lot of money. But this organization was so extravagant. Are you trying to win me over? The doctor girl is not polite either. Let's just say science has no limits. Yi-Feng already guessed that the Lang family had likely started to take action. On campus, the doctor girl said angrily, I build houses for you every day, and you never even praise me. Then she threw the house key at him. Luo Feng looked at the delicate key. Just then, Lone Wolf rushed in. Lord Demon Emperor, the Bai family has something important to discuss with you. Watching the gasping Lone Wolf, Fatty, you know about my situation. What will you choose in the future? They gave a thumbs up. I decided to follow you for life. I'll stick with you to build the model. Yi-Feng smiled and sighed softly. Having a brother like this in this life is enough, but he didn't expect to sneeze one after another. Fatty joked, Boss, some woman must be thinking about you. Yi-Feng looked at the silly Fatty and became serious. Who wouldn't want to curry favor with him? And this was the beginning of Yi-Feng's trouble. It must be said, Lan Hanxuan's methods are indeed ruthless. In the classroom, Yi-Feng was chatting with Fatty. Who is willing to help me take him out? The elder will grant them one wish. As soon as those words were spoken, the whole room began to stir. An elder of such divine standing. Starting today, the ancestral elders will settle in, and we'll have a temporary truce. But someone has killed one of us. They all say the Lang family always avenges their grudges. Chuli also became nervous. This woman even brought up the ancestral elders. What exactly is she trying to do? Lan Hanxuan lifted Gong Yunfei's head and laughed. Although some alliances are at odds with us, welcome everyone to the alliance's celebration banquet. This time, I represent the ancestral elders of the alliance to announce something. As soon as this was said, the whole venue fell silent. At that moment, a noble middle-aged woman appeared. Her powerful aura intimidated everyone. She was none other than Gong Yunfei's mother, Lan Hanxuan. Lan Hanxuan looked down on everyone around. Meanwhile, Lang Jia gathers people from all the major alliances. Everyone present was discussing the death of Gong Yunfei. Chuli looked at Lord Zhao, feeling somewhat embarrassed. After all, Gong Yunfei died right in front of them. Lord Zhao, however, disdainfully said that the Lang family wouldn't fall out with the Bai and Yi families. My lord will definitely succeed. Before leaving, Night Breeze gave Lone Wolf a death order. The people around you must be protected. If today's situation happens again, you must atone with your life. Indeed, as Yi-Feng said, he intends to be the ruler of the universe, and the world shall bow to him. Lone Wolf is also full of passion at this moment. He drops to his knees. The Lone Wolf feared that if the two escaped, they would spread rumors harmful to Yifeng. But Yifeng just laughed out loud. My goal is to reach the stars and reclaim my position as the supreme of the universe. At this moment, how could a planet trap me? This person was handling Gong Yunfei's corpse. Let's go. The two of them jumped down from the tall building in a hurry. The lone wolf was still thinking of capturing the two, but he was stopped by Yifeng. This was just the beginning of the Alliance's first encounter with Yifeng. Yifeng just silently watched Chu Yun. To be honest, he had considered all these consequences. At that moment, a figure appeared like a ghost. The visitor should be the sea-level zombie boss. He still wanted to win him over, but this outcome was beyond his expectations. Young Master Yi, the head mistress of the Lang family, will go mad. The entire zombie clan will be engulfed in turmoil due to Gong Yunfei's death. Even if you are part of the Yi family, to a dead person. Yifeng, however, was even colder. You Alliance wants to be my enemy? I will accompany you to the end. After Chuli learned about Yifeng's identity, the Long family's status is not to be underestimated. At this moment, Chuli looked at Gong Yunfei's body, feeling at a loss. The lone wolf also comes from the demon heart. He has always been indifferent. Chuli gritted his teeth and said fiercely, Yifeng, you've caused a huge disaster. Yifeng actually killed the young master of the Long family. Even though he was the demon king's reincarnation, the lone wolf also recognizes that it's a liquid metal control ability. Chuli's arm mutates just like Gong Yunfei's. While leaping in the air, he swings his fist and smashes down. At this moment, a powerful explosion rang out. Gong Yunfei's body was thrown over. There are naturally many treasures on me. At this moment, I take out a glowing orb and stuff it into the stump of my arm. In the next second, black slime begins to squirm. In just an instant, my arm actually regrows as before. Meanwhile, Chuli was still fighting with the lone wolf. The lone wolf, having consumed the heart, had gone mad. In less than one exchange, Chuli's arm was corroded by the venom. To protect himself, he had no choice but to sever his arm. After all, he was the spokesperson of the Alliance. Guolian waved gently and declared Gong Yunfei's death. Yifeng looked at the corpse on the ground. From the day you provoked me, you've already been a dead man. Do the most cruel things. Yifeng raised the ghost lotus in his hand. Demonic energy surrounded his body. You must remember my name. I am Yifeng. He responded coldly. You think becoming the demon emperor means no threats? There are many like you, but they all ended up dead. Say the gentlest words. That look in his eyes made Gong Yunfei feel terrified. You killed me. The Lung family won't let you go. The Alliance won't spare you either. Dark energy was condensing all over Yifeng. Yifeng glared at the approaching Guolian and cursed. Yifeng won't dare kill me. But Yifeng smirked at him. As an ant, tell me why I wouldn't dare kill you. But Gong Yunfei miscalculated one thing. Yifeng's speed in his phantom form was unbeatable. Yifeng wielded the ghost scythe and struck down Gong Yunfei. Without Leng Jia, what are you even worth? As the color of his arm changed, Gong Yunfei threw a punch. The fist grew massive, extending several meters in length. Yifeng could feel the power of that punch. Above the demon star, I am the king. Gong Yunfei felt the killing intent. He no longer pretended. The muscles in his arms tensed up. Yifeng gave him too many chances, but this time, the two must determine a winner. Yifeng transforms into powerful demonic energy swirling in the air. What is the Yi family worth? All his rage condenses at this moment. Countless sharp steel needles attack Yifeng, but Yifeng simply exudes demonic energy and blocks them all. Facing this man, but you are also very foolish. You could have the surname Yi, but you abandoned that surname. As he spoke, Gong Yunfei threw out several light orbs from his hand. The light sphere turns into steel needles during the charge, like the Grim Reaper descending. He looked at Gong Yunfei with a disdainful gaze. Can you feel the demonic energy on me? Gong Yunfei felt the pressure, but he gritted his teeth and cursed. You are indeed strong, always bullied, and he's cold and ruthless, kills without a trace. Yifeng's body has been possessed by the Demon King. Yifeng is suspended in midair. The next second, Lone Wolf evolved into a demon state. You two don't be afraid. Before my master returns, I'll give you guys a good time. He's timid and incompetent. What even is demon gossip? This is the real delicacy. After saying that, Lone Wolf started eating in front of the two of them. All his joints were twisting, and Lone Wolf kept making a creepy laugh. I need an explanation from you for both myself and the Alliance. At that moment, the man directly twisted open the bottle cap. In his hand, the ghostly palm held a heart. He let out a strange laugh. This person was Yifeng's little brother, Lone Wolf. Gong Yunfei and Chuli were planning to go after Yifeng, but at that moment, there was a commotion behind them. Gong Yunfei angrily scolded, How could the demon scandal be in your hands? Shuli clearly cared a lot about this matter. He glared at Gong Yunfei and coldly snorted, "Young Master Gong, now I can finally let go and do what I want." After saying this, Yifeng flew away without looking back. Lin Lan was very curious about Yifeng. Along with that curiosity, she also fell in love with him. She still whispered a soft thank you. Landing on top of a tall building, Yifeng looked at the woman, filled with mixed emotions. As the first woman on earth, Yifeng gently said, "Wait for me here." The night wind had triggered the illusion. At this moment, running on the rooftop with Lily of the Valley, Yifeng looked at the yelling woman and said, "You're really a handful. The first call I got was to save you." Though the beauty was a bit annoyed by his words, looking at the fallen monster, Gong Yunfei thought about checking it out. But as that ominous sound faded away, the area turned out to be completely empty. The two hurried to check, but the bellflowers on the sofa had disappeared without a trace. It turned out that from the moment they entered the warehouse, he threw it into the demon sound's mouth. The demon sound just swallowed it. Its body was immediately pierced by spikes. Gong Yunfei quickly jumped back. He still felt a lot of fear facing the ominous sound, but at that moment, a pair of large hands rose from the smoke. Gong Yunfei tried to escape. The next second, his leg was grabbed by the giant hand, and that was Yifeng's demon sound skill. Bound, Gong Yunfei pulled out a venomous spike bomb. He planned to wait until that Earth-level expert arrived to take action together. After Gong Yunfei dealt with the evil spirit, he strode over. In his eyes, the sooner he killed Yifeng, the safer it would be. Towards Yifeng in the dust, Gong Yunfei struck with lethal force. "Your defense is a bit beyond our expectations." Gong Yunfei found it somewhat difficult facing a few evil spirits. "But I can't help but shout at Chuli. Use your cruel methods to kill him for me." The red-haired man was very annoyed with Gong Yunfei. Yifeng was smashed into the ground but still couldn't help but complain. "You really dress so seriously, yet you like to sneak attack me. What kind of people are in your alliance?" The red-haired man squinted his eyes and stared hard. To be honest, Yifeng, but this time he clearly underestimated his opponent. A large hand appeared out of nowhere. It grabbed Yifeng by the collar and directly slammed him to the ground. This kind of speed and explosiveness made Yifeng feel intense pain. Yifeng was just about to approach. Lin Lan shouted to be careful. The red-haired man struck. A similarly swift figure flickered. Yifeng smirked and used his magic energy to dodge. After all, he was facing an evil spirit. Yifeng's goal was to stall Gong Yunfei. That way, he could rescue Lin Lan. The red-haired man before him was no ordinary person, and the woman was his biggest weakness. Countless made spirits surged forth. They had no human consciousness at all, completely controlled by Yifeng. Gong Yunfei saw the scene and felt a bit of fear inside. "You must be thinking of the people who died here." As soon as the words were spoken, a phantom array appeared under Gong Yunfei's feet. In an instant, arms emerged from the ground, taking advantage while Yifeng was observing. Her sneak attack was about to succeed, but under Yifeng's heightened senses, the demonic aura easily blocked it. With a wicked grin, Yifeng said, "Since you like this place so much, Master Gong." Gong Yunfei used his final trump card against Yifeng, but the only one Yifeng truly cared about was that red-haired man. She exudes a strange aura. Gong Yunfei's every attack was dodged. At this moment, she, frustrated, resorted to trickery. This incredibly fast movement surprised Yifeng. The next second, Gong Yunfei shouted at Yifeng, "This is me, the real demon king of strength." Yifeng's woman had been kidnapped. As for Gong Yunfei, it's because of hatred. He was originally a lofty young master, but his fiancée was taken from him. Gong Yunfei swiftly flashed behind Yifeng. His fists radiated with fiery electric power. He lifted his leg for a sidekick. The powerful demonic energy held back. The reason Yifeng is a strong person is that he meets strength with strength. His strong physique is known as a battle maniac in the Demon Star. "Now, you have a reason to die." Gong Yunfei could no longer endure it. He dashed forward in one swift move. The paper tiger on his fist hinted at something eerie, but Yifeng remained calm in the face of any attack. This was a provocation to Yifeng. Although there were no feelings involved, Yifeng did indeed sleep with this woman. "Your woman is being held by someone else." Yifeng frowned and said, "He originally just wanted to torture you." After gaining the ghost spirit, the Demon King became even more unrestrained. In his eyes, this man was nothing more than a clown. Gong Yunfei pulled the beautiful CEO into his arms. This is the first direct confrontation between the two men. Gong Yunfei, with his arm around the beautiful CEO, smirked and said, "Yifeng, our affair started with this woman. Let's settle it today." But Yifeng stared at him intently. After the explosion sound, there's no memory of anything. Yifeng didn't question Lone Wolf any further. After handing over the demon scandal to the Lone Wolf, he arrived alone at the abandoned warehouse. The beautiful CEO was none other than Gong Yunfei. "So tell me everything you know." Lone Wolf looked at the demon rumors in his hand and started talking about Demon Star before losing consciousness. Demon Star created a massive energy ball. He fell into a state of panic again. Lone Wolf nervously asked, "Are you the Demon Emperor? Why are you here?" Yifeng sighed helplessly, saying, "This world has seen the rise of many demonic things, whether it's you or me." The lone wolf straightened his body right away. Countless memories resurfaced in his mind. After a moment, Lone Wolf finally calmed down. But when he looked at Yifeng, Yifeng drove and found the lone wolf. The lone wolf felt a deep respect for Yifeng. Looking at the bottle in his hand, he quietly asked the boss, "What is this?" Yifeng immediately activated his demon eye skill. He actually didn't want to kill her. It's just that it's rare to meet someone familiar on Earth. At this moment, the beautiful CEO called. There were cries for help coming from inside. Then he hung up, and the scene shifted. A gust of wind blew past. Yifeng's grimace had already appeared, but sooner had long vanished without a trace. Yifeng withdrew his grimace. He felt a bit helpless, but he still snorted coldly and said, "I'm a curious person. Tell me your identity. I might spare your life." Sooner smirked. She stared at Yifeng intensely. "Demon Emperor, don't be too impatient. At least we're not enemies. Isn't that enough?" Yifeng could sense the familiar presence of the magic pact. Sooner will be taking her leave now. Yifeng waved his hand filled with demonic energy. He's not the type to show mercy to women. The demonic energy was about to engulf Sooner in an instant. Sooner also unleashed her demonic energy. Even if she's a beautiful woman in black stockings, Xinger can also feel Yifeng's killing intent. A backward leap, swinging her hand. With a smile, they said the Demon Emperor is still the same as ever. Yifeng's gaze turned cold. No one except the Demon Star knows the identity of the Demon Emperor. So who could this woman in front of me be? Yifeng has already unleashed demonic energy. He has never trusted anyone. But why would this woman give it to her? Xinger smirked and said, "I snatched this from the young master of the Gong family as a gift for our meeting. Does the Demon Emperor like it?" As soon as those words were spoken, but Yifeng had a grim face, because this woman, without reason, was being overly nice, and that meant she had ill intentions. Yifeng fiddled with the bottle in her hand. She could sense something strange inside. "She brought you something good." After saying that, she tossed a bottle to Yifeng. When Yifeng saw what was inside, it seemed like a huge conspiracy was about to surface. A beautiful demon queen delivering herself in the dead of night. "The first thing is to specifically take a look at you." Hee, Yifeng teased. "Then you can tell me the second thing." The girl in black pouted and murmured, "Are you really that anxious?" He saw an upside-down girl. The girl smiled playfully at him. He still demonstrated his agility in front of her. The girl in black continued to smile foolishly at him. "Yifeng, I have two things to discuss with you." The appearance of weapons made him feel warmth, because this would be the demon's new method of punishment. At that moment, a voice came from outside the window. "Yifeng, are you home?" Yifeng retracted the ghost lotus back into his body. When he stepped onto the balcony, jumps directly from the 100-meter-high building. Gong Yunfei shouts in frustration, "Xianer, I will make you wish you were dead." On the other side, Yifeng summons the ghost lotus. After arriving on Earth, as soon as these words were spoken, the roof begins to shatter. The girl in black also realizes that countless red lasers are falling. It seems that Gong Yunfei has guards hiding in the shadows. After dodging, the girl in black, but that woman couldn't get close at all. The girl in black said coldly, "You should be thankful I'm not killing you today. How many more days can this dog live?" Gong Yunfei angrily retorted, "Even though I can't kill you, it doesn't mean there's no one here who can." Her figure flying back into the air, and to tease Gong Yunfei, she circled above his head. Gong Yunfei gave up the attack. The surroundings were filled with dust from the bombardment. Gong Yunfei gritted his teeth, being teased. The anger in his heart had reached its peak. He swung his fists and charged forward. Under the impact of his powerful abilities, the girl in black seemed like a ghost. Before Gong Yunfei could make a move, the girl in black suddenly took a quick step, and her whole body soared into the air. The girl in black smirked and said, "You've been secretly staring at my stockings all this time. Do you like them that much?" Lightning power gathered in his arm. If Yifeng can't be killed, so be it. So, he decided to take out his hatred on the woman in front of him. But the girl in black slowly turned her head, and the smile on her lips was quite eerie. The power of the woman in black was clearly not to be underestimated. He slowly walked over to stand beside Gong Yunfei, the bottle in his hand. He toyed with it back and forth. But young Master Gong had had enough. The girl in black teased, saying how bold the eldest son of the Gong family was to come out alone. Gong Yunfei was already consumed by hatred. A red flash appeared in his eyes, but the next second, the bottle in his hand was pulled away. As he picked up the bottle, there was actually a beating heart inside, and rumors of demons surrounded it. Gong Yunfei was imagining threatening Yifeng, but at that moment, A woman's laughter came from behind. Looks like they'll have to ask the D-rank expert from the north of the city to step in. This man's fiancée was taken by someone else. Such a handsome face, yet he lost to Yifeng. At this moment, he arrives at some ruins. Gong Yunfei opened an old, dust-covered iron box. Gong Yunfei coldly said, I must watch him struggle to live before me. Unable to die, unable to survive. The red-haired man thought for a moment. He said casually that F-rank cannon fodder was no match. Even E-rank was crushed. Gong Yunfei thought about what Yifeng had done. His own wife was killed by a subordinate. Easily slain. Even members of the Gong family were brutally murdered. Thinking of this, deploying even 2 top-tier experts is already very difficult. Gong Yunfei, with his legs crossed, mockingly said, those matters are none of my business. The top experts available in the Alliance right now. Quickly assign one to me. You'll suffer a big loss again. The red-haired man nodded. He responded, don't worry. I'm here this time specifically to solve this problem for you. But right now, the Alliance and the Ghost League are still in a chaotic battle. Calmly, he said after all these years, this is the first time I've seen someone dare to challenge the authority of the Alliance. This guy's methods are strange. I don't know where he came from. If you don't hit harder next time, this is a warning and a reminder. Gong Yunfei turned around, his eyes revealing a murderous intent. But then he held back. But he still coldly said, young Master Gong, you are indeed of the Lingjia bloodline, but remember your position. Within the Alliance, you have no command authority. He slammed the table and angrily yelled, a first-tier league expert, with strength more than 10 times that of a top special forces soldier, and yet the two of them together still couldn't take down Yifeng. The red-haired man glanced at the flustered Gong Yunfei, a bit disdainful. The Demon King Yifeng killed 2 first-level masters. This incident directly alarmed the higher-ups of the Alliance. The red-haired man, as a senior liaison officer, I was also very shocked when I heard the news. The most furious one was Gong Yunfei. The night wind bends the neck. Eerie eyes emit a red glow. Mockingly, she says, beautiful lady, I come from hell, and I am the king there. There will be various temporal rifts appearing. So, do you really not belong to this world? The night breeze lifted the corner of his lips. Since he got the answer he wanted, he might as well show his cards to the girl. This was indeed the question in Yifeng's mind. Miss Qin heard Yifeng's questions. At first, there was surprise. Then, after thinking for a while, he said calmly that the world is indeed unstable. Anyone could be a friend or an enemy, and he isn't afraid of any organization. Yifeng coldly said, let me ask you a few questions. What is this place exactly? Why are there rumors of demons and former members of the Devil Star here? But the beauty became even more intense. She stood up and scolded, I just want to confirm whether you're our enemy. We don't want to be enemies with you. But in Yifeng's ears, it just sounded like nonsense. In his view, isn't your question a bit excessive? By the way, what time is it? Can't people get some sleep? Then he scratched his ear, showing how annoyed he was. Yifeng sits on the sofa, looking at the beauty in front of him. Miss Qin has only one question from start to finish. Are you really a member of the Yi family? This question has been asked 108 times already. Yifeng lets out a long breath. He coldly replies, Miss Qin. Miss Bai looked adorably at her chest. Her little face visibly turned red. Next, her little fists struck back. The Bai family courtyard hasn't been this lively for a long time. Nightfall is approaching quickly. I got a bit too excited earlier. Plus I'm wearing a shirt. The night breeze reveals everything. But still, I gave a little gesture and coughed softly. Yifeng said calmly, Miss Bai, you've done your research well, but I don't consider myself one of the Yi family. Miss Bai noticed Yifeng was somewhat angry and could only helplessly say, seeing that you're pitiful, just come with me. Miss Bai blinked and asked back, you're a dignified member of the Yi family. How could you need saving? Yifeng had no fondness for the Yi family. Even though he wasn't the original body, the memories in his mind made him extremely resentful. She could only shout, tell me, why did you come back? Yifeng scratched the back of his head and awkwardly replied, didn't I lose my house? Just find me a place to stay. After all, I did save your grandpa in white armor. You wouldn't have the heart, right? When Miss Bai heard this, she had to pull back her fist, which was hanging in midair. But the anger in her heart hadn't subsided. Yifeng, the Demon King. Even in the demon world, I'm a big shot. But all I can do now is raise my hand to stop this young lady. Hey, sis, don't think about hitting me. Cursing under her breath, she stormed downstairs. At that moment, Miss Bai was wearing slippers. Like a shrew, she rushed into the night wind. She kept muttering something. Damn it, bastard. He chuckled and said, I'm not really into cars, but cashing it in wouldn't be bad. Miss Bai felt both angry and affectionate toward the man in front of her. What annoys me is his laziness. What I love is his incredible skills. Miss Bai got angry at once upon hearing this. Grandpa just gave him a sports car worth millions yesterday, and today he already wants a house. Yi Feng saw Miss Bai's angry expression and was yawning, but she noticed Yi Feng downstairs. Yi Feng, with his thick skin, waved his hand and shouted for old Master Bai. I've lost my home. I hope you can provide me with a place to stay. He acquired too many abilities. He ruined his family. When I walked into the Bai family's courtyard, it seemed I could only seek help from old Master Bai. Miss Bai had just woken up. I will let you be reborn in fire on this earth. I will be king. Everyone will bow down to me. King Yi Feng dealt with too. Due to his excessively cruel methods, originally a waste of the Yi family but now parasitized by an evil demon king. You are cowardly and incompetent. Your strength is still weak. From today on, not only had it grown larger, it has evolved into a lion form. Sure enough, consuming the bodies of those with special abilities can lead to evolution. Niafeng looked maliciously at the distant public building. His whole body transformed into a ghostly figure and flew into the air. After all, forcing his body into the Azura state early comes with its price. Although he's still far from his peak, this gradually accumulated power can also enhance his strength. At this moment, the spirit cat finished eating. Then Yi Feng summoned the spirit cat to feast. The two guys lying on the ground were a delicacy. Watching the plants in his backyard wither, Yi Feng couldn't help but feel a bit helpless. One encounter, and the puppet fell to the ground, unable to get up. Yi Feng looked at the corpse on the ground and coldly said, "It's not easy to come across someone special, yet they turned out to be so weak." This clearly shocked the puppet. Logically, his puppet should enhance his own strength, but why was it easily killed? Yi Feng did not respond to him. The ghostly curtain in his hand spun rapidly. That huge hand struck directly at the top of Yi Feng's head. Just as the corner of his mouth curved up, the ghostly face appeared without anyone noticing. Then, with a light stroke, the bald head was split in two. But when Yi Feng saw this scene, he didn't dodge. The massive size, plus the shockwave, from such a close distance. As for the bald guy, the green thread in his hand was entering the bald guy's body. With the control of the thread, the bald guy opened his eyes again, and the entire face was enveloped in a purple trick. So why not become my puppet? The Night Wind asked in surprise. Since you want to kill him, why did you save him just now? Kuei Lang grinned and said, without a head, he can't be a puppet. Moreover, right now he can exert several times the strength he had before. He won't let any of us go. But Kuei Lang didn't say much more. There was only killing intent in his eyes. The next second, he snapped the bald man's neck with his bare hands. Kuei Lang sneered and said, "You're about to die anyway." Kuei Lang, why are you here? Kuei Lang coldly stared at him. Then he said, "I choose to live alone." The bald man heard this and hurriedly said, "Are you out of your mind?" Yi Feng said coldly, "I waited for you for half a day. Finally, you came in person." The bald man asked, turning his head to take a look. A hint of surprise flashed in his eyes. "Any strong opponent will be annihilated. This is Yi Feng's killing arena." The bald man knelt on the ground, his body corroded for too long by Yi Feng's ghostly aura, and the true ghost face finally appeared. "Am I right, King O?" Yi Feng finally unleashed his Azura state. Although the human body cannot withstand powerful demonic energy, evolving into a Shura insect is still effortless. In the space domain of the Shura, Yi Feng's body transformed and appeared to the side. The ghostly aura around him started to stir. Looking at the two ants in front of him, Yi Feng sneered and said, "Looks like you chose to die together. If there were no space, would definitely cause injury, but now, it's Yi Feng's home ground." The ghost curtain in his hand spun around once. That powerful airflow was actually torn apart. He then prepared to reap Baldy's life with his ghostly scythe. But at that moment, Ghostface sensed the location in time. Just as the scythe was about to strike, he clenched his jaw forcefully, blocking it, while Baldy generated an energy wave at that moment. The power of the attack. Yi Feng moved unpredictably within this space. When Baldy sensed a murderous intent, Yi Feng had somehow already appeared behind him. With a wicked grin, he raised his scythe and said, "No matter how much you destroy, it's useless, because I am the darkness." After all, he was seriously injured at the moment. To avoid raising suspicion, Baldy began to gather his strength. 3 powerful waves of energy surged in all directions, but the dark curtain of ghostly aura became even more terrifying. The ghostly figure's eyes turned. Then it echoed, saying, "That makes sense, Baldy. After all, we're teammates." Hearing the ghost say this, Baldy breathed a sigh of relief. "One of you live." The bald man glanced at Ghostface and cursed angrily. His words can't be trusted. This kid wants us to kill each other and then reap the benefits. The entire space was pitch black. The bald man and the ghostly figure instinctively wanted to huddle together. At this moment, Yi Feng playfully said, I want to give you both a chance. You too, I can let. This ghost cry formed a space. The bald man's eyes were filled with terror. He finally started to feel afraid, because Yi Feng didn't just create a space, but even the sky was covered. You've underestimated my power. It's time you understood the difference. As soon as he finished speaking, a ghostly wail echoed through the air. In just a moment, Yi Feng hears these words. He laughed out loud. Then, with disdain, he said, "Monster? It's been thousands of years. It's been a long time since anyone called me that." His overwhelming aura of dominance instills fear in others. The ghost head and the bald man have been seriously injured by the ghost. After all, this weapon might absorb a person's life force. The ghost roars at Yi Feng. "What kind of monster are you? Becoming an Asura. He can command demonic soldiers and a ghostly scythe to take lives from afar." At this moment, the demon king Yi Feng is in his Asura state. Under the moonlight, he grips the ghostly sickle. He can move as fast as the wind and kill countless enemies in an instant. Becoming a demon, he can summon a demon child that devours everything in its path. Yi Feng held the ghost chain spirit beast and coldly said, "Dare to challenge me." Even a tree would tremble. This man has various combat forms. Transforming into a phantom, Yi Feng reappeared once again. With a gentle squeeze of his hand, he said coldly, "Old friend, long time no see." And this liquid form is actually the Demon King's weapon, the Demon Spirit Beast. In the next moment, the black trajectory turned into liquid, and Yi Feng merged with that liquid. The bald man was left speechless at this scene. This is beyond the understanding of human abilities. Then the black liquid flashed past the bald man's back. Mere buildings, yet again veiled. This feeling in my chest is pretty good. Then, black liquid flows from Yi Feng's eyes. Is the demon lord's form going to evolve again? You actually came out unscathed. How is this possible? Yi Feng's body is floating in midair. His mouth isn't moving, but an ethereal voice is coming out. Aren't you all surprised? The bald man turned to look. His eyes were filled with terror. He shouted loudly, "I pierced your chest. And you still took my blow." The bald man looked at the gravely injured Guanyin, and something clicked in his mind. Yi Feng had entered demon lord mode. The fangs at the corner of his mouth were exposed. He mockingly said, "I'm not dead." And it's a terrifying killing intent. At some point, Yi Feng had already appeared behind him. In just an instant, Guanyin's arm was severed. He actually sent the two of us, top-tier experts, to handle this. If it weren't for the Lang family backing him, who would show him any respect? As they were talking, Ghostface and Baldy suddenly felt a murderous aura. Dust and smoke rose. The ghostly face below was still there. What a pity that such a good puppet was wasted like this. Little did they know that a trace of ghostly energy leaked from the dust. Ghostface was still complaining to Baldy, saying that the Gong family's young master was overreacting. Just to be safe, it's better to directly turn him into dust to feel at ease. The airflow condensed and burst forth. This strike clearly used all his strength. Even the ground was blasted into a deep pit. His entire body emitted energy fluctuations again. This surprised the masked figure beside him. In the next moment, the bald man raised his hand again. This time, the condensed airflow was even stronger. The bald man coldly said that this guy could even annihilate a six-fingered snake. Then he smirked and said, "This guy's body can be put to good use. Making a new puppet isn't bad either. After all, I'm tired of this one for now." But the bald man kept staring coldly. He seemed unconvinced. "I was just thinking of sucking a little more blood." But the bald man kept staring at Yi Feng's body. After finding nothing unusual, he calmly said, "If you want menstrual blood, go find someone else." Ghostface seemed to be in deep thought. At this moment, the human body of Yefeng is pierced through the chest. The whole person falls to the ground, and that ghost face lets out strange cries. His entire figure moved behind the bald man. He said helplessly, "Why are you in such a hurry?" Usually elegant and refined, teasing women. But in battle, he goes into a frenzy. The reason is a human body, with the soul of a demon king. After saying this, the fluctuation gathering at his fingertips pierced right through Yi Feng's body. This time, the airflow shot out like a gust of wind. Meanwhile, Ghostface silently appeared in front of the bald man. Is Yi Feng really beyond saving? This man has multiple combat forms. For the first time, the Demon King Yi Feng felt suppressed. At this moment, the bald man raised his hand. Ghostface said coldly, "Be careful. This kid seems like he's about to make a move." Before Yi Feng could react, it bit directly onto his shoulder. As blood flowed out, Yi Feng felt his strength fading away. It seems this man did indeed have a trick up his sleeve. "You've got some guts, huh?" As it spoke, the tentacles tightened even more. The next second, that sinister face opened wide, a gaping bloody mouth, mockingly saying, you're really naive, aren't you? At this moment, the tentacles of that ghost-faced creature wrapped tightly around Yi Feng's entire body. No matter how hard he struggled, he couldn't break free. The ghost-faced creature let out a strange cry and coldly said, "You dare to challenge the alliance, kid?" Just as Yi Feng was about to clash head-on with the Ghostface, his body was hit hard again. Although it wasn't a fatal injury, he was completely suppressed during the fight. The bald man looked at Yi Feng. Yi Feng was always confident in battle, but this time, he was really at a disadvantage. The ghostly energy in his hand burst out. It's best to kill this monster first, because his trump card is still unclear. The demon mask knocked to the ground let out another angry roar. Withered body, twisted features, all four arms sprinted forward with full force. At this moment, it's truly a wolf in front and a tiger behind. But at this moment, the bald man also launched an attack. The green power in his hand was agile. A strange airwave directly hit Yi Feng. This strike clearly caught him off guard. It was an attack from an imperceptible airflow. The ghost-faced man clearly underestimated Yi Feng's strength. After all, at night, his presence is shadowless and formless. How did Yi Feng discover this? In the next moment, Manhwa was slammed hard to the ground by a large hand. The attacker was Yi Feng. When he sensed the enemy behind him, he remained calm. Instead, he raised his hand very gentlemanly. "This is my territory. You still want to ambush me?" This man transforms into an Asura because he has a human body, but the soul of the Demon King. Yi Feng's lips curl slightly, his gaze playfully fixed on the bald man. The corners of his mouth unconsciously curled up. As an ordinary person, he has various combat forms. Usually, he looks completely harmless, but once he meets an opponent, the next second, above Yi Feng's head, a bizarre evil spirit appeared. Although it had some human features, it was clearly a modified monster. Yi Feng remained standing in place, but "I'm really looking forward to it." The ghost hand looked at Yi Feng's appearance and was obviously somewhat wary. After all, this isn't what humans look like. But still, he said faintly, "Gong Yunfei didn't just send me alone. Tonight will be your day of death." Upon hearing this, Yi Feng slowly appeared. At this moment, wrapped in the ghost cry, Yi Feng said with a mockery, "Really? How are you going to kill me then? Everyone who moves carelessly will be completely devoured." The cries echoed throughout the jungle, but the ghost leader was not flustered. Instead, he calmly said, "Yi Feng, no matter how you try to act mysterious." As soon as he finished, the ghostly wails of Yi Feng filled the forest. This eerie feeling made Ghost Hand too scared to move. Yi Feng coldly said, "Welcome everyone to my territory. I forgot this place is also called Hell." In the wails of ghosts, the one who made the move was Yi Feng. The real show has only just begun. Yi Feng moved through the forest like a phantom. Then he tossed the head onto the ground. Mockingly, he asked, "Is this what you're looking for?" One of his men had somehow become dismembered. Ghost Hand urgently shouted, "Everyone, gather around me. Don't give him a chance to ambush us. Stay alert for any movement around us. Report in time." A few of the men are still searching in the dark. The next second, a cry of pain echoed. "No!" The shrill scream sent chills down everyone's spine. Ghost Hand turned his head to look, his eyes filled with disbelief. The night breeze just hopes for more and more. Ghost Hand leads his men to start searching, but for some reason, there's a thick fog in the forest. Ghost Hand coldly says, "Search thoroughly for me." With a mischievous grin, he said, "Tonight is going to be much more interesting. This time, I'll play with the sandstorm array. Changing things up makes it more interesting." Feeling the distant passing vehicles, here, Yi Feng can quickly enhance his cultivation, and only his body can adapt to it. After all, this powerful energy can only be absorbed by the Demon King's soul. Having increased his strength, Yi Feng suddenly opened his eyes. He licked his tongue. Looking at his trembling arm, Yi Feng coldly said that there was something wrong with this ghost hand's arm. He actually suffered in their exchange. Now, while those people haven't caught up, he must train properly under the demon stone giant tree. The smoke and exhaust fumes left several people in disarray. Ghost Hand was so angry that he waved his hand and yelled, "Quick, chase after him." Yi Feng was driving the old master Bai's leading sports car. He didn't care whether they were following, but when he got home, Yi Feng went straight into the courtyard. He currently doesn't want to get involved with anyone else. Yi Feng mockingly said to the big guy, "Do you have the ability to catch up with me and then kill me?" After saying this, Yi Feng directly started the sports car. "No wonder Gong Yunfei warned me to be careful. Your strength is enough to enter the alliance, but unfortunately, you must die here today." Yi Feng has no mood to listen to his nonsense. This is the territory of the Bai family. Yi Feng quickly used Ghost Cry. The strength of this guy is not to be underestimated. I thought the collision from the Ghost Hand's transformation could shatter him, but that powerful blow felt like hitting cotton. The Ghost Hand plays with blood, saying, "Not bad, kid." Yi Feng looked at the bald muscular man with a wicked smile. He had never been afraid of the Demon King's parasitism. Guisho was also somewhat angry. This kid clearly underestimated himself himself. He swung his large hand and was about to attack Yifeng. Or should I drag you down like a dog? Yifeng rolled down the car window and looked at the burly man with a half-smile. He jokingly said, the big guy, Gong Yunfei only sent you to kill me. The ghostly hand is quite full. Yi Zhongzhen's reaction. As long as the Bai family doesn't interfere, the rest will be easy to handle. The ghostly hand coldly said, will you roll down yourself? The Bai family will definitely be safe. Upon hearing this, Zhong Zhenghua stood there in a daze. After all, this person is known as the Ghost Hand. His strength can easily wipe him out. The next second, a burly bald man stepped out. This person exuded a murderous aura. He stared fiercely at Zhong Zhenghua. Old Zhong, what I'm looking for is that kid in the car. As long as you step aside, the Gong family is acting recklessly at my Bai family's doorstep. Don't go too far. Zhong Zhenghua's reputation is not small. Clearly, a few of them are intimidated. At that moment, a voice called out, make way for me. Several servants tried to stop him, but the leader clearly had no respect for them. He grabbed one by the collar and snarled, you have no right to ask about the Gong family business. Zhong Zhenghua watched as his men were beaten. Staring at a few people, I cursed them out. And at that moment, a white sports car arrived at the gate. This caught the attention of all the men in black. It seems Yifeng has finally come out. The leader of the men in black shoved aside the Bai family servants. He walked straight toward the sports car. Xiao Yong, and have Xiao Zhong see you out. Yifeng didn't respond. He then went with Miss Bai to get the car. It seems old Mr. Bai is quite generous. A black sedan was still blocking the yard. That is, whether the Bai family was willing to cooperate. Yifeng smiled and said, since I've saved your grandfather, lending me a car shouldn't be a problem, right? Old Mr. Bai snapped his fingers. Shaoi, give my Silver Bell sports car to Yifeng. Miss Bai only then noticed the cars lined up neatly outside the courtyard. She was surprised and asked, are you saying all of these were sent by the government? Yifeng did not answer her question. Instead, he turned around and stared at old Master Bai. He needed a definitive answer. Yifeng, thank you for saving my grandfather. Yifeng looked at the scene downstairs. He smiled and said, you're welcome. Besides that, I think those aren't your Bai family's cars, right? But also to tell them, we're all in the same boat now. Only cooperation can lead to a win-win situation. At this moment, Miss Bai approached. Yifeng whispered, everything will come to light eventually. Just stay cautious. After all, the authorities won't disregard the Bai family. These words were deliberately said by Yifeng, not only to warn old Master Bai. The man in front of her said this world. So who exactly is he? An alien? Yifeng did not explain what he meant earlier. Instead, he lazily said, you don't need to worry, and said calmly, there are many things in your world I don't fully understand, but that devilish rumor definitely doesn't belong to this world. Upon hearing this, everyone present was shocked, especially the beautiful doctor, and teased, it seems your Bai family has fallen victim to the government's plot. The old man from the Bai family narrowed his eyes slightly and said in a cold tone, young friend, do you mean that? Yifeng curled his lips. As your betrothal gift, this man is parasitized by a demon king. He has the strength to kill gods if they stand in his way. Now, even bringing someone back to life is a piece of cake. Yifeng looked at the old man on the hospital bed. He said coldly that the Gong family wasn't scary. The truly terrifying one is the Long family from Jiangnan behind them. Yifeng looked at his little girlfriend. His eyes stared at her thighs for a long while. Then, with a mischievous grin, he said, then I'll take over the Long family. Could this middle-aged man be hinting at something? Yifeng replied indifferently, is the Gong family that powerful? Even your Bai family is afraid of him? At that moment, the young lady of the Bai family returned. She heard Yifeng's words, but for the old man, it can only be a case of trying anything as a last resort. I hope this young man will be the savior of the Bai family. The balding middle-aged man suddenly said to Yifeng, next time, be on guard against the public's schemes. This unexpected remark left Yifeng somewhat astonished. Don't doubt its usefulness. Just have the old man drink it directly. The cure is in the medicine. The balding middle-aged man clearly hesitated. After all, what happened today is not something an ordinary person can understand. Otherwise, this spirit cat would go wild, and it would devour anyone in sight. A bowl of blood quickly filled up. The night breeze handed it to the bald middle-aged man. He said with a teasing tone. He surprisingly comforted the little one gently. Just one touch is enough. Beside her, Xin Shui saw Meow Meow, and immediately wanted to pounce and touch her. Fortunately, the female teacher arrived just in time. The little guy sniffed at it with its nose. He had thought there would be a feast, but the next moment, Yifeng pierced the cat's paw. Then the blood flowed into the bowl. Yifeng also felt heartbroken for his spirit cat. Bring me a bowl. The bald middle-aged man hesitated, but after hearing Yi Feng's words, he calmed down. He hurriedly arranged for his subordinates to get a bowl. Yi Feng placed the bowl in front of the spirit cat. Yi Feng tilted his head and looked at the spirit cat, then explained, "Don't be nervous, this is the key to saving the old master. You must not neglect him." A scorching black flame appeared. In just an instant, the flame transformed into a spirit cat. This bizarre scene shocked everyone present. This is not something humans can comprehend. Lying in bed right now is the unconscious old man. The bald middle-aged man respectfully says, "Mr. Yi, I hope you can lend a hand." Yi Feng didn't say much. At that moment, strange energy surged from his arm. The cowardly and weakling of the Yi family has suddenly become elegant and refined. Even his power is terrifyingly overwhelming. But for the Demon King, this is just the beginning. Demon King Yi Feng arrives at the Bai family. His purpose is to save old Master Bai. "I'm the Demon King. Today, I'll show you properly what a miraculous appearance looks like." The soul of the Demon King. This man is Yi Feng. Yi Feng looked at her. "You foolish woman." Even though he's nagging, it's still for the sake of others. "But I'm not human." The content is nothing more than that she is a doctor. She is also the exclusive doctor for old Master Bai. With the current medical technology, she's already at her wit's end. She doesn't want Yi Feng to treat the old master as a test subject. This confirmed Yi Feng's speculation. The Bai family can only make friends, not enemies. Xin Shui came in as well. Even now, she won't stop rambling. "You are already a dead man. However, the manner of your death needs to be decided by me." On the other side, Yi Feng followed the bald middle-aged man to the Bai family, looking at the luxurious decorations around and the architecture. Thinking of this, Gong Xiao crushed his phone in anger. Gritting his teeth, he said, "Yi Feng, I will not let you go. You brought this on yourself, and also got his brother killed. And it was just last night. I almost got blown up myself. Looking this pathetic. It's all because of Yi Feng. Wait for him to come out at the Bai family." Young Master Gong looked at the photo of Yi Feng on the table, and his whole demeanor became ominous and terrifying. After all, this person slept with his wife, killed his subordinate. He followed the Bai family's people. What should we do next? On the other end of the line was none other than the young master of the Gong family. He said fiercely to send someone to follow him. Yi Feng smirked. He said with a sly smile, "Whatever, as long as the Bai family doesn't mind." In the shadows, a green-haired man was lurking. He whispered into his phone, "Young master." As a doctor, she felt challenged. She boldly said to Yi Feng, "Can I watch your treatment process? If you're successful, I'll gladly become your disciple." Yi Feng had his hands in his pockets. He waved his hand, indicating to leave. "Let's go. Your old man can't wait any longer." Xin Shui, that fierce girl, looked at the high and mighty Yi Feng. Never let him try it. Bald middle-aged man. His gaze suddenly became fierce. He stared at Xin Shui and coldly said, "Please don't speak recklessly, Dean Qin. After all, he is a distinguished guest of the Bai family. Currently, the elder of the Bai family is in imminent danger. In this world, aside from Yi Feng, no one else can bring him back to life." At this moment, Xin Shui is trying hard to dissuade Mr. Bai. This man has an unknown background, and then humbly said, "I am Bai Zhengwood of the Bai family. Greetings, Mr. Yi. My family's elder's situation. Please, Mr. Yi, help us." Yi Feng, who was parasitized by the Demon King, is experiencing improvements in both strength and luck. The appearance of a group of men in black left the two girls speechless. At this moment, a bald man in a Zhongshan suit walked out. Yi Feng looked at the scene and was at a loss for words. Who are all these people? The bald man bowed respectfully to Yi Feng. Yi Feng left without looking back. The beautiful teacher watched his figure and wanted to keep him from leaving. After all, she truly wanted to thank Yi Feng. She then pulled Xin Shui and tried to catch up with him. But after walking out of the hotel, "What you said has nothing to do with me. And thank you both for the warm welcome at the banquet. I have something else to attend to. I'll take my leave now." After saying this, as soon as those words were spoken, Yi Feng suppressed the demonic aura within him, but his gaze was coldly fixed on the emotion. After a while, Yi Feng slapped the table and stood up. No comment. Hearing Yi Feng say this, Xin Shui became even more anxious and asked, "If you can't explain clearly, I feel it's necessary to doubt that your appearance is related to the demon rumors. I am a doctor. I am the head of the largest private medical institution in the city. The rumors about the devil have not spread yet. Where did you hear this from?" Yi Feng said helplessly with his eyes closed, "I wanted to treat you to a meal." Yi Feng looked at the empty table, feeling both angry and amused. "Then why don't you serve the food?" At that moment, Xing Shui started introducing herself. The pretty teacher also sensed something was off. She quickly smiled and said, "My friend said you slapped my butt to kill off a demon rumor. And you also gave me a lesson on how terrifying this little thing is. So I felt guilty." One of the girls kept staring at him blankly. The other was scrutinizing him with a serious look. Feeling unable to endure it, Yifeng awkwardly said, "Ladies, you keep staring at me. Did you really invite me here just for a meal? This time, it was both of us who invited you. I'm here to express my gratitude, and she has some questions to ask you." The three of them then sat down. But this strange atmosphere made Yifeng very uncomfortable. We arrived at the table. The always suspicious Yifeng looked at the unfamiliar woman and curiously asked, "Who is this?" Sensing Yifeng's displeasure, the beautiful teacher quickly explained, "This is my best friend, Xing Shui. The last time I slapped her on the butt, it was to save her, but I still got slapped back." Fang Ying happily waved at Yifeng. "We are over here." For the first time, young Master Gong felt the threat of death. With a fierce look in his eyes, he said to Yifeng, "I will never forgive you. This woman is born with a natural fragrance. Her blood is extremely precious." In the next second, Gong Wu's body emitted a golden light. His swelling body visibly grew larger. Facing such a situation, young Master Gong chose to escape by jumping out the window. A massive explosion erupted from the Gong family building. This made Gong Xiao feel a sense of danger. He kicked Gong Wu's body away. Looking at the kicked Gong Wu, Gong Xiao didn't dare to touch him easily. He then guessed that this must have been Yifeng's doing. Gong Wu still didn't respond. Instead, his entire head turned around. In a hoarse voice, he said this was a gift for the big brother. His eyes had already lost their spark. There was even a blister on his head. But after seeing Ao Wu's strange expression, the eldest son of the Gong family approached to take a closer look. He patted Gong Wu on the shoulder and coldly asked, "Where are the 7 serpents? Why didn't they come back with you?" His eyes were empty. He was like a walking corpse. He only repeated one phrase, "This is a gift for my brother." He realized Gong Wu wasn't replying. This made him angrily snap, "What are you muttering about? Was Yifeng's death tragic?" Gong family's eldest son smiled grimly. In his mind, Yifeng was surely beyond saving, but Gong Wu gave no response. He wore a white suit and had silver hair. He appeared very gentlemanly, sipping red wine. He coldly said, "Ah, how is the matter coming along?" This made the servants start to gossip. "He's usually a pretty normal person. Why is he so unusual today?" Gong Wu arrived at an office. A man was standing by the window. "Anyway, I asked all the way." On the other side, in the government building, the official walked in a hurry. He kept murmuring to himself. The content was that I am the big brother's return gift. Confused, Fatty chased after Yifeng and asked like a madman, "Do you have some kind of superpower? And why did you let the male and female go? Where did that cat on you go?" Yifeng could never have imagined how many questions his good brother had. "At least give me a hand. My wound still hurts." But just at this moment, Fatty suddenly noticed something unusual with his body. His wounds had actually healed. Then he restored Fatty's body to its original state. After finishing this, Yifeng turned around and left. Fatty looked at the indifferent Yifeng and immediately started shouting, "Madman!" In a gentle tone, he said, "Brother, you've worked hard." Fatty continued to smile foolishly. "Not hard at all, not hard at all. I knew you'd come to save me." Yifeng gently pressed with his hand. This was one of his rare brothers in the human world. He doesn't want Fatty to know too many of his secrets. That would only make his situation even more dangerous. Looking at Fatty, Yifeng patted his shoulder. Though the process was a bit creepy, the heavily injured Fatty looked at Yifeng and whispered, "Madman, did you really just let Gong Wu go?" Yifeng didn't say much, because everything will be determined by Yifeng. Sleeping with the Gong family's eldest son's fiancée led to their retaliation. So Yifeng's good brother, Fatty, was kidnapped. Facing his wife with supernatural abilities, Yifeng easily took care of her. This is the price the Gong family pays for provoking me. The Yi family's biggest loser was possessed by the Demon King. The cowardly, incompetent man became someone else entirely. After all, when a demon descends to the human world, there will be no rules. As soon as he finished speaking, the last shred of reason in Gong Wu disappeared. His entire body became like a walking corpse, with only one voice repeating in his mind, "I am the gift for my big brother." Yifeng looked at his puppet with satisfaction. The next second, Yifeng, holding the blood-flesh thunder, mockingly said to Gong Wu, "Help me return a favor to your big brother." The large blood-flesh thunder was forcefully stuffed into Gong Wu's mouth. Yifeng looked at him in a disheveled state. He said playfully, "Remember, okay? That's a memory I gave to your big brother." Yifeng came up behind Gong Wu. With only wisdom left, the 3 souls and 7 spirits were consumed. The paralyzed Gong Wu felt the killing intent behind him. Yifeng pinched Gong Wu's face and turned him around. "Right now, he's just a waste." Yifeng waved his hand. "First, let's cut the rope," he said lightly to the fat guy. "You can take a break now." "Wait a moment, I'll treat you after I'm done. At that moment, the tied-up fat man yelled loudly, "Maniac, don't let Gongwu get away. Otherwise, he might bring in his family for revenge." Yi Feng didn't tell him. That guy's soul has already been consumed by himself. After saying that, he turned to look at Gongwu again. A smirk appeared on Yi Feng's lips. A good idea flashed through his mind. A demon's tricks never disappoint. The entire form turned into a ball of flesh. Yi Feng stared at it for a while and said in a teasing tone, "As blood. The meat thunder effect is pretty good. That's worth praising." The seven serpents loudly questioned, "What did you do to me? Why can't I feel my body?" As soon as the words fell, the seven serpents' body began to solidify. As the demonic energy gathered, the demonic energy began to invade his body. In excruciating pain, he could only scream. No one knows how long it lasted. The pain vanished, but he no longer looked human. Yi Feng mockingly said, "Then I'll trouble you to be a bomb." Upon hearing these words, seven snakes trembled all over. The mere pressure from the man in front of him was suffocating. Paralyzed, he was lightly pointed at by Yi Feng. "I would definitely comply." But in the next second, Yi Feng suddenly went mad. His expression twisted as ghostly wails filled the space. He didn't want his brothers to see this scene. "I actually think you could help me with something. Facing death, as long as one can live. The seven serpents have no choice left. I hurriedly promised to do whatever you said. I don't want to die. I shouldn't have disturbed you." The night wind curled up the corners of his mouth. His gaze changed from cold to gentle like falling snow. "Now that you mention it." When the cry of the ghost controlled the seven serpents, the terror in his eyes was so laughable. The seven serpents looked at the man before them, resembling the Grim Reaper, crying out loudly for mercy. "Don't kill me. I'll do whatever you want." Yi Feng wiped the bloodstains from the corner of his mouth. With a wicked smile, he said, "Now welcome to my home turf as a guest. This is the realm of the Hell King." Yi Feng looked at the ants in front of him with a gaze full of disdain. Yi Feng's tone was very gentle, but these words were extremely terrifying. The bald man's arms were grabbed, then they were torn apart. Accompanied by a mournful scream, Yi Feng turned around and raised his hand. With a teasing tone, he said, "I told you, I'm a devil from hell. I like to enjoy the process. Don't you go dying on me too quickly." Yi Feng burst into wild laughter. "You lay a hand on my brother, and you still think you can run?" With just one sentence, the bald guy was left frozen in place. It's not that he didn't want to run, it's that his body had already stiffened. Seven Serpents was already scared, collapsed on the ground. Trembling, he said, "What on earth are you?" And Yi Feng just stood there quietly, watching. He didn't answer. At this moment, Baldy wanted to escape. Then the giant infant opened its mouth and began to eat on its own. Meanwhile, Yi Feng appeared unscathed. Such power. Can that still be considered human? In the next second, a giant infant burst through the serpent's body. The tearing pain made the giant python begin to roar, and the giant infant started to let out a creepy laugh. Immediately, Yi Feng's voice rang out. Soul-devouring technique. "Demon child, eat it for me." As long as Yi Feng is dead, his mission would be complete. Meanwhile, the fat guy began shouting Yi Feng's name. The scarlet giant serpent suddenly started to writhe. Its belly bulged. Yet Yi Feng still did not dodge. Watching the giant python getting closer, his body began to transform into a demon king, but he was still swallowed into the giant serpent's belly. The bald man saw this and was finally relieved. As soon as the words fell, the giant python let out a terrifying roar, and Yi Feng also directly summoned the spirit cat. In the instant the spirit cat merged into his body, the giant python opened its massive jaws, and their bodies turned blood red. Then the seven snakes said, "This is my real trump card. Scarlet Giant Python. Since you said you won't avoid it, let me see if you can withstand it this time. Then let's go down together." In the next second, he controlled the giant python from afar to attack himself. Both arms were actually bitten hard. It turns out it's diluting its own blood. The two giant pythons merged their bodies. Night Wind was still not satisfied. In an icy tone, he asked again, "Weren't you going to kill me?" "I'm standing right here, not moving." Upon hearing this, the seven serpents knew there was no chance of survival today. The giant serpent was torn apart. This kind of masterpiece is true perfection. Because of the illusion, seven serpents suffered a backlash and was severely injured. The pain in his body made him unable to stand steadily. Seeing the seven serpents in such a sorry state, and Yi Feng just watches him quietly. Fighting requires calmness and ease. The choice between life and death is in my hands. Then let me show you what oppression feels like. The night breeze slowly raised his hand, slicing through the spiritual energy before him. If he wants to survive, it looks like he has to take a risk. A giant python reappears behind Shisha, but this python is different from before because it is actually transformed from spiritual energy. The 7 serpents in front of him are the henchmen of the Gong family. He is facing such a difficult opponent for the first time. This man in front of him is completely toying with him. His strength could easily kill at will, but it seems he always deliberately avoids it. I just love eating ants like you. Yi Feng, who is parasitized by the Demon King, encounters various assassinations for sleeping with the woman of the Gong family. Although anyone who faces the Demon King meets a deadly end, his good brother has been kidnapped. This prompts the sentimental Demon King to begin a counterattack, but as they all have illusion spirits, the 7 serpents still couldn't help but ask which school you are from. I haven't heard of someone like you in the Ability Alliance. Yi Feng directly started to demonize, coldly saying, I come from hell, but I just want to torment you. I'm going to attack your left side now. At this moment, the 7 serpents no longer dare to act arrogant. Although this demonic attack is simple, once touched, it's certain death. As soon as you're attacked, the python without control is just like a dead snake. He can't imagine the strength of the man in front of him. However, Yi Feng's attack comes again. In a calm tone, he says, I could kill you in an instant, but you underestimate my strength. Yi Feng's magic strike was dodged by the 7 serpents, but he couldn't help but loudly ask why. How exactly did you do that? She was taken aback, because he just noticed. It seemed like Yi Feng had never made a gesture, yet Yi Feng jumped directly into the air, and said with a wicked smile, I enjoy playing with you because it sharpens my skills. Yi Feng slowly walked over. Looking at the man in front of him, he said with a mocking expression, with your low-level manipulation skills, do you think I need to stand and control it like you? Upon hearing Yi Feng's words, leaping straight onto one of the pythons, it quickly started tearing with its claws. Meanwhile, the unaware Lord of 7 Snakes continued controlling the pythons, because in his eyes, such illusions are simply easy to destroy. Go! King Extinction Snake. As soon as the words were spoken, the 2 giant pythons launched their attack. Faced with their gaping maws, the civet cat darted forward nimbly. Having extra help is not bad. Lord 7 Serpents wielded the giant python and sinisterly said, petty tricks. Let's see whose spirit beast is stronger. The phantom spirit began to roar, though small compared to the giant python. But this spirit beast is very powerful, because it is the spirit cat transformed from the blood of the female teacher. Although it hasn't been refined into medicine, Yi Feng, the Demon King's good brother, Fatty, has been kidnapped. And this time, the enemy even has special abilities. Facing such flashy attacks, Yi Feng told his phantom spirit Shishue, hold that python for me. And after receiving Yi Feng's command, but now I am the Demon King. Since I have taken over your body, you and I are now bound together. By the rules of this world, the plan will start with you, Yi Feng. He can feel the loneliness of this body, the ridicule from classmates, the betrayal of a beloved woman, the schemes of family members against him. All of this is vivid in my memory. And you already want to unleash the tower? Pathetic human. Yi Feng has already been possessed by a demon. All the humiliation and trampling he once endured. The 6-fingered snake shouted at Yi Feng, if you let me use this move, you can close your eyes. Yi Feng is enveloped in demonic energy. Mockingly says, this is just my first layer of power. His eyes turned yellow, resembling snake eyes. He spread his arms wide, and a green magical aura radiated from his body. Suddenly, 2 giant pythons appeared on his arms. Meanwhile, Yi Feng, with a playful yet grand gesture, flew into the air and flung his hand. A red demonic aura was unleashed. Faced with the sudden demonic energy, the 6-fingered serpent no longer concealed his strength. Do you have any more snakes? Bring a few more. The 6-fingered serpent looked at Yi Feng. He could sense the power of this person, because he could also draw a face. Yi Feng didn't dodge. Instead, he turned the cat spirit into demonic energy, and had to take a bite at the python. At this moment, Yi Feng felt playful. He laughed and said to the snake handler. He raised his finger and gestured. The giant python that had just attacked actually burst out of the ground again. Yi Feng blurted out, you are a cultivator. But the 6-fingered snake completely couldn't understand that. Right now, he's fully focused on controlling the giant snake to attack. He easily dodged with a quick sidestep. Steadying himself, Yi Feng teased that Gong Yunfei had sent a snake charmer to kill him. He really underestimated him. Hearing Yi Feng's mockery, the 6-fingered snake was clearly enraged. Yi Feng didn't pay attention to what he said. Only the weak launched sneak attacks. The 6-fingered snake appeared mid-air. A giant snake shot out from his sleeve. As it was about to strike Yi Feng, and forcing his location out of you is also an option. Yi Feng slowly walked in. His steps were as leisurely as if he were strolling down the street. The fat guy shouted for Yi Feng to be careful, because at some point, the six-fingered snake had disappeared from its spot. The next second, the wooden door shattered with a bang. Yi Feng kicked the door to pieces. After walking in, he looked around. He said helplessly, "Gong Yunfei isn't here, but beating you up." The chubby man looked at the person in front of him. He could sense that this person was not weak. Moreover, the sinister aura around him sent chills down his spine. At this moment, Yi Feng's voice rang out. "Such a formidable character?" Six-fingered snake looked in the direction of the voice. "He's definitely going to die." Then he pointed at the man behind him and said with a wicked smile, "My brother sent this gentleman. Do you think Yi Feng still has a way out? This is Mr. Six-fingered Snake. Ordinary people like you wouldn't understand what kind of being he is." He mockingly said, "I know that guy has some tricks up his sleeve. Last time, he even hypnotized me, made me kneel in public. I will make him pay for that humiliation. But this time," but the fat man doesn't back down. He looks steadfastly at the bald man. Calmly he says, "With a bunch of ants like you, do you think you can kill Yi Feng? You're really daydreaming." The bald man also stopped. That fat guy was tied to the pillar. The bald man is swinging a whip at this moment. He fiercely lashes it against the fat man's body. While whipping him, he angrily curses, "Are you tired of living? How could you be friends with that worthless illegitimate child? Since your people captured my brother, why would I let you live comfortably?" The car that exploded behind you was Yi Feng's doing. Millions of dollars in supercars and lives, all reduced to ashes along with that abandoned steel mill. First, he slept with the noblewoman. Then he eliminated his cousin who framed him. Regarding this world, he is grateful to the owner of this body. But the Demon King has always been ruthless in his actions. Under the sky full of flames, the night wind coldly says that human games are always dull. Take care, no need to see you off. The male lead's body is parasitized by the Demon King. He, who was supposed to be weak and incompetent, has changed. In the next moment, the night wind turns him into a demon. He looks at the blonde who wants to escape. His gaze turns from blood to ice. The release of demonic energy surrounds the car. Then a violent explosion sound erupts. After the call, Yi Feng was still puzzled. Does the human world only know how to talk big? Can't we do something real? Like creating some spectacular games? It looks like I'll have to repay you properly soon. Let's meet and talk. Gong Yunfei, on the other end of the line, enjoying the night view, said teasingly, "No need to meet. After all, you won't live past tonight," and hung up. He couldn't believe when the phone had been taken. Yi Feng ignored him. Instead, he answered the call directly. His tone was chilling. "You're the one who kidnapped Fatty, right? You've prepared many surprises for me. I'll stay out here." Yi Feng looked at Blondie with a mischievous grin. A phone slipped from his hand. It was Gong Yunfei calling. Blondie was still searching his pockets. During this bone-setting performance, it seems the Gong family is behind it again. When Yi Feng and Blondie arrived at the scrapyard, Yi Feng, stepping out of the car, jokingly asked, "You're not going in with me?" Blondie hurriedly explained, "Young Master Yi, you're kidding." After answering the call, it was actually Lone Wolf's voice. He anxiously said, "Boss, something's wrong. My boss is missing. Yi Feng only has one good brother, Fatty. We're at the scrapyard. It's still uncertain who's better." At that moment, Yi Feng's phone rang. He took it out to check. It was an unknown number. "My car is over there. He just happened to ask me to meet tonight." Yi Feng grinned and said, "I just love your indecisiveness. Those who know how to adapt are truly wise." And the blonde had his own little scheme. He coldly said to the blonde, "Lead the way to the scrap factory. No objections, right?" The blonde who wanted to escape was now completely petrified. But facing the capricious Yi Feng, he could only smile and say, "Young Master Yi, you're joking." Yi Feng could feel the care she and her parents had given him over the years, and how much she resembled his own son. He must investigate her background thoroughly in the future. After seeing his cousin off, Yi Feng's expression darkened again. Yi Feng's eyes turned blood red. Old grudges, new ones. It was time to settle them. After sending off his cousin's best friend, watching the girl leave, he coldly asked, "Then where do you usually meet?" When Huang Mao got hit, he was scared out of his mind. He quickly said it was at the scrapyard. Now that they had a destination, the blonde guy covered his injured ear. His voice trembling, he said, "He always contacts me first. I don't know where he is." Yi Feng patted the blonde guy on the shoulder, but the force was not light. He wouldn't even spare his own cousin. Yi Feng looked at the blonde in front of him and mockingly said, "Take me to find Gong Yunfei. After all, it's only polite to reciprocate. It's rude not to return the favor. So I should respond now." He didn't feel the slightest bit unfamiliar. Instead, the memories in his mind told him that this was someone who had once cared about him, and the power of the Gong family was indeed vast. Just because he slept with his woman, Yi Feng's life began to change. In a world of the strong, one must conquer with strength. The demon-possessed Yifeng took over everything in his life. And as for his cousin, the betrayal of a lover, the betrayal of family, classmates' mockery, living every day in cowardice, until the demon parasitized his body. Faced with such a terrifying man, he can only nod in agreement. He has a human body, but the soul of the demon king. In the past, he suffered too much injustice. It was clear Yifeng was losing patience. He leaned in closer, his tone even colder. Do you want me to cut off your other ear too? Answer me. Did you hear that? The terrified Hu Shao is trembling all over at this moment, screaming in pain. But Yi Feng's voice, like the Grim Reaper, echoed, relaying my message. Tell the Gong family to wait for me. I'll personally deal with them once I'm done with my matters. Looking at Hu Shao, who remained silent as the demonic energy gathered, a monstrous cat emerged. In its mouth was the ear of the lake's youth. At this moment, Hu Shao covered his ear. With a wicked smile, he said, do you know how many people have threatened me? All those people are dead. As soon as the words were spoken, a surge of demonic energy attacked the lake. You should know who you've offended. You've had your drink too. Don't think you'll walk out of this hotel alive today. Yi Feng glanced over. A smirk appeared on his lips. Looking at Hu Shao's mischievous grin, Yi Feng calmly said, I know there's a sleeping pill in the drink. Tell me, what's your real motive? Hu Shao heard this and playfully replied, since we're being open about it. But Yi Feng didn't care. He stared at Hu Shao and said coldly, let's go outside and talk. The two exchanged a glance and shared a knowing smile. The next second, they were in the hotel hallway. Anqi hurriedly waved his hand to refuse, because he never drinks alcohol. However, Yi Feng appeared next to Hu Shao at some point and directly took the red wine and downed it in one go. Clearly, Hu Shao's expression was somewhat gloomy. You should really thank him. Mr. Hu raises his glass and smiles, saying, to the beautiful birthday girl, I toast this glass to you. Please do me the honor. As soon as he heard this, Yi Fengji, the demon lord, is completely uninterested in this feigned enthusiasm. At this moment, her best friend introduces the man at the table. This is Mr. Hu. He's the one treating today. Anqi's best friend enthusiastically greeted us. She then looked at Yi Feng and asked, who is this? He's so handsome. Anqi quickly explained, this is my cousin. We're already here anyway. Let's meet your friend. In this world, those ants have no idea of my true strength. As soon as we entered the private room, isn't this place expensive? Should we go somewhere else? Yi Feng has been busy handling the hotel situation. Hearing her cousin's words, she calmly said, it's fine. At this moment, the hotel manager looked at the two, respectfully said, you must be Miss Anqi. Your friend is waiting for you in VIP room 19. Follow me, this is Miss Anqi's inquiry. Brother Yi Feng, then I will erase you from this world. Yi Feng accompanied his cousin to the 5-star hotel. Today is Anqi's birthday. I heard her best friend arranged a party. His methods are insidious and ruthless. His style of doing things is even more unyielding. In his view, I can sleep with your woman, but if you have thoughts about my woman, would not go to such lengths for someone else's birthday. It seems to be directed at him. Yi Feng's body has been possessed by the Demon King as an embodiment of evil. Nightfall came. Yi Feng brought in Shi to a 5-star hotel. The interior is lavishly decorated. Yi Feng is a very vigilant person. His suspicion is that even the richest best friend, I'll go with you. Hearing that Yi Feng was willing to go with her, and she was as happy as a child. Seeing her dancing around with joy, Yi Feng seemed to see Huanger. Can you come to my birthday party? My best friend is organizing it for me. Yi Feng looked at the quirky little girl. He tapped her forehead with his finger and smiled, saying, all right. Yi Feng knew he was testing the waters. Then he gently said, I just miss you, silly girl. Upon hearing that, Anqi was overjoyed. She hurriedly mumbled, brother Yi Feng, she wasn't his lover. Immediately, he felt a wave of sorrow. Looking at Yi Feng's expression, Anqi softly said, brother Yi Feng, what's wrong? The girl smiled and said, Yi Feng, brother, why haven't you come to find me lately? I had to come find you. Hearing what the girl said, Yi Feng recalled in his memory that she was his cousin. As soon as he heard it, he knew it was a girl speaking. Yi Feng hurriedly turned around to check, but the girl in front of him looked exactly like his flower. Although their hair colors were different, those eyes were simply the same person. But how did the beings and objects from the Demon Star appear on Earth? Who is the mastermind behind it all? Just as Yi Feng was deep in thought, someone covered his eyes from behind. Then a tender and cheerful voice said, guess who I am? Only then could he become stronger. Unknowingly, I arrived at the school library. It seems I need to do some thorough research. Yi Feng flipped through all the information on Earth, but he found nothing of significance. In this world, I've always been alone. But once I rule, I won't be lonely anymore. Yi Feng recalled the recent events. He wanted an answer. After all, he hoped for an opponent. After Yi Feng's body was parasitized by the Demon King, the cowardly and inept him transformed into a murderer. Those classmates who once mocked him, his soul was imprisoned by a demon. Even his cousin, who bullied him since childhood, had his soul extracted and devoured by him. The Demon King Yi Feng was still recalling recent events. The appearance of the Shura mask, the emergence of the lone wolf of the Demon Star, and the Devil's Scandal. What exactly happened in the Demon Star? Watching Yi Feng leave, the beautiful CEO wondered what she was thinking. She took out her phone and saw the two characters Yi Feng, which made her feel a longing for the first time, walking on the road to school, but pretended to be clueless and said This made the girl hesitant to ask more. After getting out of the car, Yi Feng waved his hand. He said lightly that if she encountered any trouble in the future, she could call him. His number is in her phone. Just as Yi Feng was about to get out of the car, the girl couldn't help but ask, "Who exactly are you? Why do you have that kind of power?" Yi Feng naturally heard clearly. Along the way, Yi Feng was thinking about the doubts in his heart. There are too many demonic things in this world. At this time, the beautiful CEO whispered that she had arrived. "Why don't you get off the car?" The girl's words finally broke Yi Feng's train of thought. "I have something to take care of." The beautiful CEO didn't ask any questions, directly mentioned the library of Yi Feng School. After all, it is the largest bookstore. Then the two came to the school, made him appreciate her. She is a woman who is both calm and intelligent. Yi Feng said casually, "Let me ask a question. Where is the place here where the information is complete?" The beautiful CEO looked at the body in the distance and coldly said, "He has harmed us multiple times, so he deserves to die." Yi Feng had been observing this woman. Hearing him say this, "The man who shared a warm night with me yesterday, what kind of person is he really?" The beautiful CEO quietly asked Yi Hu, "Is he dead?" Yi Feng nodded. The beautiful CEO witnessed it all. The fierceness of the battle is secondary. What's more important is that mutated body of the night tiger and the overwhelming strength of Yi Feng. All of this has become unbelievable. Dealt with his cousin. The night tiger was a piece of cake for the Demon King. After all, someone who has harmed themselves multiple times can only be a burden while alive. Regarding the intense fight just now, just because the Demon King wounded his body, demons have always been gentlemanly. Just like his words, "I admire the strong, because they can be trampled on at will." With a fierce look in his eyes, he said, "I not only want to sleep with your woman, but I also want to uproot the Gong family." The cowardly and incompetent Yi Feng actually slept with a woman from the Gong family and tortured the beauty for an entire night. A figure slowly starts to appear. This man is indeed the young master of the Gong family. Now that I know who is behind this, the grudge is set. Yi Feng swallowed his soul in one gulp. The next second, Yi Hu's soul is pulled out by Yi Feng. Then he immediately starts biting, ignoring Yi Hu's pain. The Demon King Yi Feng begins using soul-searching magic. As his perception deepens, could only be resolved in hell. Yi Feng looked at the fallen Yi Feng. He felt no sympathy. A palm covers Yi Hu's head. He must investigate the origin of the mask. "I'll give you a quick death." The demonic energies attack split Yi Hu's massive body in half. The mask shattered completely. In the end, Yi Feng lost to this man all of his resentment. But Yi Feng's confident smile and his immense strength obviously make it impossible. Yi Feng raised his fist and coldly said, "Be grateful for my mercy." He had to kill this man. Yi Feng's enormous body was just about to succeed. Without Yi Feng, he can inherit the Yi family. Hope is right in front of him. He was already on the verge of collapse, but he had to kill Yi Feng. The borrowed power had clearly reached fusion. The Shura mask also began to shatter, even if it meant becoming a monster, because that strike made me spit blood. What if I tell you that it was intentional? Would you die a happier death? When Yi Hu heard this, he was unwilling to accept his fate. "I won't go down easily at the hands of a worthless person like Yi Feng." Yi Feng slowly turned his head. His gaze was cold and merciless. He said lightly, "Why do you think you can kill me?" However, Yi Feng remained silent. His entire form was enveloped in demonic energy. Cold, like a god of death, feeling the flames of death. He wanted to use the power of the mask again. The collision of fists is causing the space to begin to tear apart, and Yi Hu sensed something unusual. For some reason, his arm was enveloped by demonic energy. The burning pain made him rage and curse, "You worthless garbage. What have you done to me?" The power of the entire body tightened. This attack is obviously even more terrifying. But what is the Demon King? He is a battle maniac, a man who has fought on the battlefield for hundreds of years. He only wanted to crush this man to death. The boulder smashed into the ground, but the Demon King, Yi Feng's demonic aura began to surge. Yi Hu knew he had to finish this quickly, and this disfigured face. All the hatred had long blinded Yi Hu's eyes. He raised both hands and directly lifted the massive boulder in front of him. He couldn't stand seeing Yi Feng living freely. I will become the one and only ruler of this world. Yi Feng watched as his cousin even put on the Shura mask to kill him. And Yi Hu did all this solely for the hatred and dissatisfaction in his heart. He couldn't accept that the heir of the Yi family was him. Yi Feng also couldn't accept his growing power. Yi Feng's body had actually been possessed by the Demon King. From a despised loser to someone who can easily kill others, the Demon King felt his former pain. And in return, I will reverse all your fate. With just a normal punch, he sent Yi Feng flying. The entire body slammed onto the ground. Looking at the fallen Yi Feng mockingly said, "How much do you look down on me? To think you could kill me? You gave me a reason to kill you." Yi Hu clenched his fists and said lightly, "It's good that you are alive. I still want to torment you properly." As soon as he finished speaking, Yi Feng quickly flashed in front of him. Yi Feng coldly said that Azura soldiers are the lowest cannon fodder of the Demon Star, and the Azura mask is to prevent them from fleeing. The mask can enhance their combat ability, but the flaw is that you either fight to the death or win the battle. He was puzzled as to why Yi Feng was still alive. When he slowly turned his head, on the stone platform not far away stood the Demon King, Yi Feng. At this moment, Yi Feng was just beginning to transform into the Demon King. The demonic energy around him was restless like a phantom. When he looked at Yi Feng, he realized that he had already disappeared. At that moment, a voice, cold and merciless, said, "It seems you don't quite understand what kind of mask you're wearing." Yi Hu was stunned by these words. It's not just about wearing a mask. The entire road began to collapse. At this moment, Night Tiger no longer looked human, but he was already controlled by the mask. Laughing loudly, he said, "This is all my power. It feels amazing." After Yi Feng spat out a mouthful of blood, his entire body shot out like an arrow from a bow. The powerful combat strength gave Yi Feng an unprecedented sense of satisfaction. The demonic energy recharged again. Due to the immense power, Yi Feng gently lifts up and shouts, "You trashy waste of a bastard, where do you think you're running to?" This time, there's no escape. The fist slams hard into Yi Feng's abdomen. This strike was undeniably filled with Yi Feng's hatred. He once fought the three dominators to a standstill. Now oppressed by this Azura mask, Yi Feng is clearly embracing a mindset of certain death. Although his strength and speed have increased, this comes at the cost of draining his life. The Night Tiger is no longer what he used to be. The magic in his fists is astounding. Yi Feng clearly underestimated this guy's power. A powerful blow struck directly on the ground. Yi Feng dodged just in time. 1 second he's flirting with the goddess. The next, it's a deadly battle. This inhuman fight. It's clear the beautiful CEO was startled. Thanks to the power of the Shura mask, from human to this terrifying form, Yi Hu did it for revenge. Clearly, the price was steep. Reborn as a demon on Earth. Is Yi Feng really facing a strong enemy? And of course, the scum of the Yi family. I'm not a vengeful demon king. After all, they will all be dead. Just a Shura mask is enough to make Yi Feng's enemies overwhelmingly powerful. Possessed by the Demon King, the things you never dared to do before. He helps you accomplish everything one by one. Sleep with the beautiful CEO. Brutally bully your classmates. Yi Feng can sense that this guy has the power of the second layer of Shura ice. A lone wolf who arrived in this world. And the mysterious appearance of the Shura mask. Who is the person hiding in the shadows? The #1 disgrace of the Yi family. Because Yi Hu's figure disappeared again. The strike that came from the sky was incredibly fast. Yi Feng hurriedly began to defend. This tremendous force caused the ground to start collapsing. Because of the power of the mask, he asks again, "I'm giving you one last chance. Tell me where this came from. I can let you live." Yi Feng didn't get the answer he wanted. Everything else, I don't care. It seems Night Fox has gone mad. Because of their blood relationship, Yi Feng has been holding back. There would clearly be severe side effects. But Yi Hu tilted his head and said calmly, "The power I have now, I can tear you apart. As long as you're dead, you're playing with fire. Do you know what you're carrying?" Yi Hu no longer looked human at this moment. His arms and back were covered with spikes. Although his muscles were extremely powerful, the eyes behind the Shura mask have turned bloodthirsty. In the next moment, a powerful demonic energy attacks. Yi Feng swiftly dodges. As the Demon King, he is truly angry this time. Yi Feng said calmly, and Yi Feng recognized the mask. It was the Azura soldier mask of Demon Heart. But why is it in Yi Hu's hands? Yi Hu, whose demonic energy has intensified again, rips apart Yi Feng's barrier with his bare hands. But Yi Hu's face twisted in fury again. He took out a mask in his hand. With a sinister grin, he said, you're forcing me to use my trump card. As he put the mask on, Yihu's demonic energy began to surge. He rushed forward with his entire body. The two exchanged punches. Due to Yifeng's overwhelming strength, Yihu started to struggle to defend. I thought this battle was about to end. The two began to fight, but Yifeng clearly underestimated his speed. The blood chi strike was effortlessly dodged by this guy. Yifeng hurriedly attacked into the air, searching. After spotting the target, leaving only the sinister demonic aura in the air, Yifeng snorted coldly and started to take it seriously. His whole body now protected by a blood aura. As Yihu reappeared, he smirked and said, "Sorry about that, I haven't fully adapted yet. I actually missed." As soon as the words were spoken, his entire body vanished again. I turned my head to take a look. Could it be that this guy mutated after staying in the hospital? Yihu's earlier strike went straight through the giant tree. As the thick smoke cleared, Yifeng had a fierce expression as he said, "Today, I will make you die in a very ugly way." Then he transformed into a purple light that instantly shot behind Yifeng. Yifeng was also startled. How did Yihu mutate just by staying in the hospital? Yifeng roared angrily, "Thanks to you, I've ended up like this." Yifeng joked lightly, "Big brother, you're not fully recovered yet, and you're eager to be discharged. Shouldn't you go back and check on our old man?" A burly man with his face wrapped in bandages stepped out. He grinned smugly and said, "Yifeng, let's see where you're gonna run this time." He then ripped off the bandages. It turned out to be none other than Yifeng's elder brother. At that moment, a black Ferrari suddenly appeared from behind. Yifeng immediately reached out to turn the steering wheel and dodged it. Then he excitedly revealed his red eyes. He opened the door and got out of the car. The black car drifted and blocked the way. Lin Lan shot Yifeng a glance. He started the Wuling Shinche, eager to get home. Just as he drove out the door, Yifeng suddenly became alert. It was as if he sensed something. "I'm not familiar with the roads. Can you take me back to the city?" Yifeng readily agreed. But then he plopped himself into the passenger seat, making the city's top beauty CEO his driver. Lin Lan remembered the kidnapping from last night. Feeling ashamed, she blushed and said no more. Then Yifeng tossed his white shirt onto her face. Lin Lan puts on her clothes. "Sorry, this place is so remote." Yifeng was once again lying naked beside him. After waking up, Lin Lan angrily yelled at Yifeng, "Why is it you again?" Yifeng was speechless. "Wasn't I saving you? Is this how you treat your savior?" What was this woman talking about? She must have been frightened again. Then Yifeng smoothly turned around, spending the whole night using his finger to force the poison out of her. The next day, Lin Lan slowly opened her eyes. Just as Yifeng greedily absorbed the pure energy, Lin Lan walked over, trembling. Yifeng didn't expect Lin Lan to pounce directly at him. She was angrily murmuring about why he had left her back then. Yifeng was also helpless, accompanied by a massive green flame. Yifeng fused the Tianji magic stone into the old tree. In an instant, centered on the old tree, the Tianji magic stone radiated waves of green energy, causing the surrounding plants to grow wildly. It turned out to be a celestial magic stone. With it, he could set up a barrier and quickly increase his cultivation speed. Then Yifeng went to the old tree in his backyard, crushing the magic stone with one hand, and suddenly lunged at him, starting to pull at his clothes. Just now, Yifeng finished off the thugs who kidnapped the female CEO. He discovered that the jade pendants scattered on the ground were radiating powerful energy. Yifeng picked one up and looked at it. After dealing with the enemies, Yifeng was about to leave, but a jade pendant glowing with green light on the ground caught his eye. The city's most beautiful CEO got lost in the wilderness. She found a high school student. "Sir, this was all instigated by the Night Tiger. Please spare us." Yifeng let out a wicked laugh. "You can go now." Then, countless demonic smoke instantly surged out of the body and swept towards the two of them. The next moment, dark magical smoke pierced through the other person's body. It crazily drained his life force. In an instant, he turned into a dried corpse and fell to the ground. The two had never witnessed such a scene. They quickly knelt down and confessed. As soon as he finished speaking, the man in red charged directly at him. Yifeng tilted his head, easily dodging the heavy punch. Then he transformed into the Demon Emperor. "Next, we're going to perform a passionate scene for you. Just take the blame for it." Yifeng's face was full of disdain. "If you want to die, you can give it a try." At this moment, Yifeng suddenly appeared behind them. "How about I go first?" Seeing that it was the useless Yifeng, they couldn't help but laugh. "Didn't expect to see you at home." The house he lived in wasn't bad. As the chubby man in red burst through the door, the strong man carelessly threw Lin Nan onto the bed. The leading strong man looked at the beautiful CEO on the bed, drooling. "I'll go first. You all wait." Seeing this scene, Yifeng transformed into smoke and followed. After all, Lin Lan was a woman he had once shared a bed with. Then the van unexpectedly stopped right at Yifeng's doorstep. The strong man, carrying the beautiful CEO, sighed about Yifeng being such a loser. At that moment, the city's most beautiful CEO, Lin Lon, had just finished her drink. Suddenly, a van stopped beside her. A few burly men forcibly dragged her into the vehicle. Then the door slammed shut. In an instant, they sped away when she was suddenly dragged into a car by the underworld. But a high school student witnessed the whole thing. Just moments ago, Yi Feng finished dealing with the bar situation. He planned to stroll around downtown. He ordered you to die. From then on, Lone Wolf dared not say another word. He immediately knelt down. Little brother Lone Wolf greets the boss. The city's #1 beauty CEO was walking down the street. The steward of the Bai family immediately bowed in thanks. Hong instructed the Lone Wolf, "Little Wolf, from now on, you will follow Mr. Yi. If he tells you to give birth, then give birth. Our old master Bai is recovering well. Is there a chance that the Bai family could have the honor of inviting you to treat him?" Yi Feng smiled and replied, "I consider myself a friend of your eldest daughter, Bai Xiaoyi. Let me make some preparations first. Come find me in 3 days." Then he respectfully greeted Mr. Yi. Lone Wolf was now drenched in cold sweat. "No way. How could I have provoked such a powerful figure?" The butler hurriedly said, "Mr. Yi, it is just as you said. Brother, help me take out that guy. He's completely disregarding our Bai family." The butler focused his gaze and was instantly shocked. He quickly bent down and pressed Lone Wolf's pressure points. "I surrender. Please don't hit me anymore." At that moment, the head butler of the renowned Bai family suddenly walked in with some people. Lone Wolf ran over like he had found a lifeline, shouting as he rushed forward. But Yi Feng blocks it with one hand. Then he leaps and slams him into the wall. The wall instantly blows open a large hole. Yi Feng looks at his hand. The Lone Wolf immediately kneels down. He wondered who this guy was. How could it be so coincidental? Then Yi Feng walked toward him with a dark expression. The Lone Wolf gets up again. He uses all his strength to attack Yi Feng. Still hasn't come to his senses. Yi Feng has already transformed into the devil flute. With one punch, he struck his face. He sent the Lone Wolf flying 10 meters away. The Lone Wolf was shocked. "We'll end up like this." Just as the Lone Wolf eagerly reached his filthy hand toward Sister Rose, a hand appeared and grabbed his arm. The Lone Wolf was startled. He couldn't move his arm at all. He followed up with a punch to Wang Hu's back. Wang Hu spat out blood immediately, fell to the ground and lost consciousness. The Lone Wolf triumphantly stepped on Wang Hu. He declared, "Anyone who dares to stand up for Sister Rose." With that, Wang Hu threw a powerful punch, but Lone Wolf smiled. With a sidestep, he dodged behind him. Then, the big brute glared fiercely, gathering strength. "You've won so far because you haven't met me." The challenger was the undefeated underground champion, Wang. Lone Wolf, the city's deadliest assassin, exuded a murderous aura. "Wang Hu, I advise you not to interfere." But Wang Hu stood up, cracking his knuckles. "Enough talk. Prepare to die." The beautiful bar owner had to submit to avoid being killed by the assassin. He announced to the entire venue, "Whoever can take down Lone Wolf will get this bar." At that moment, a burly man said quietly, "Let me do it. You better submit to me quickly." This high school student went to a bar to drink for the first time. The city's strongest assassin knelt and called him boss. Just now. Meanwhile, Lone Wolf stood on one foot on the table, with a look of disdain. "Rose, except for me, no one can save you. If you want to live." As soon as the long-haired man appeared, Sister Rose broke into a cold sweat. She hurriedly shouted to the crowd at the bar, "Who can help me take down Lone Wolf? This bar will belong to whoever does." "What nonsense are you talking?" But Yi Feng remained silent, swirling his wine glass, as if waiting for something. Just then, a long-haired man walked in, hands in pockets. "At this rate, you won't last 3 days." Sister Qianwei looked incredulous. She didn't expect anyone to figure it out. The chubby guy was speechless. "Yi Feng, please personally make us 2 drinks." Sister Rose turned around and smiled as she agreed. Yi Feng then said, "Sister, you're poisoned." He came to the bar to drown his sorrows in alcohol. Then the fat guy introduced Yi Feng to her, saying that she is Chang Wei Jin. Not only is she the bar owner, but she is also a famous goddess in the city. Then the chubby guy grinned and pulled out his gold card, saying to Sister Rose. In the evening, his buddy Fatty invited Yi Feng to the best bar in the city. As soon as they arrived at the bar, the fat guy cried and hugged Yi Feng. It turned out that the fat guy's girlfriend scolded Yi Feng for being useless. The fat guy then broke up with her. Yi Feng squeezed the mosquito he had just squashed. He thought to himself, "This is truly heaven helping me." Although it was only a drop of blood, it could be used to refine a congenital spirit body pill. That's equivalent to gaining another life. But Yi Feng shamelessly spread his hand. "Teacher, there was a mosquito on your hip just now. Don't worry, I got it for you." The beautiful teacher gritted her teeth in anger. She directly called Yi Feng outside to stand as punishment. A loud smack landed squarely on her butt. The teacher let out a sharp scream. All the students stared at Yi Feng in shock. The beautiful teacher, covering her butt, was both embarrassed and angry. Yifeng, what are you doing? He realized that the beautiful teacher in front of him was actually a natural spirit body. If he could get a drop of her blood, that would be great. Just as Yifeng was lost in thought, the teacher walked over to him. Yifeng suddenly reached out with his hand. She was taken aback, her face losing color. Then she asked in confusion, "What happened to you?" Zhong Chang didn't dare to say much. He could only say that he had accidentally fallen. At that moment, Yifeng, who was getting ready to slack off in class, suddenly widened his eyes. Zhongqiang clutched his arm, trembling as he left. At that moment, Heis, the beautiful teacher, walked in. Seeing the disheveled state of the school bully Zhongqiang, this high school student slapped the beautiful homeroom teacher on the butt. It made her scream, but he didn't panic at all. Just a moment ago, he just taught the school bully Zhongqiang a lesson. Yifeng turned around and smiled at the chubby guy. "Don't you even recognize me? But there's one thing you got wrong. I'm neither human nor ghost. I am a demon." They kept punching and kicking him until Zhong Chang was beaten to a pulp. Only then did Yifeng call for them to stop. The chubby guy behind was dumbfounded. "Is this still the same Yifeng? Are you even human?" No matter how Zhong Chang tried to warn him, shouting, "Brother Wu, you hit the wrong person." But the four of them seemed enchanted. They couldn't hear a thing. Then, with a command, the four of Brother Wu instantly stood up. Zhong Chang was stunned on the spot, still not reacting. Brother Wu's iron fist had already landed on his face. He quickly sprang up from his seat. Shouting loudly, he pushed at fifth brother. "Why are you kneeling to this useless person?" But fifth brother seemed like he had lost his soul, showing no reaction at all. Yifeng simply pointed at Zhong Chang. "Not even the king of heaven can save you now." Before Zhong Chang finished speaking, there was a sudden thud. Fifth brother and the three others all knelt down in front of Yifeng in unison. Zhong Chang then realized something was wrong. Using the soul-banishing demon eye, "My choice is to make you kneel before me." Zhong Chang, standing by, couldn't hold it in. He burst out laughing. "Yifeng, you're really courting death. You actually dare to ask Brother Wu to kneel for you?" "Bluffing," he said. "That's right. Kneel or be crippled. Your choice, kid. Pick one." Yifeng let out a cold laugh. Fifth brother was utterly terrified. It took a while for him to snap out of it. He wondered if he had just hallucinated. Fifth brother forced himself to stay calm, sweating coldly. He could hardly believe his eyes. Yifeng in front of him was as terrifying as a hellish fiend. He even let out a devilish roar, asking, "Is what you said true?" At that moment, Yifeng retracted his demonic form. "And call me grandpa, or I will break one of your arms and one of your legs, turning you into a complete useless person. You choose." While Yifeng revealed his demonic eyes to fifth brother. Fifth brother immediately shivered. "You don't really think that with Bai Xiaoyi covering you, I wouldn't dare to move against you, do you?" Brother Wu has a dark expression. "Yifeng, you're quite something. Kid, I now give you two choices. Either you crawl through my legs." Yifeng quickly waved his hand and said, "No, no, no. You heard wrong. I meant to say all four of you are garbage." Upon hearing this, Zhong Xiang thought to himself, "Has Yifeng been scared silly?" But Yifeng grinned cheekily and asked, "Are you the trash sent by the Gong family?" Brother Wu was in utter disbelief. This loser actually said that. Then, with a face full of killing intent, he said, "Kid, you just called me garbage." The gang leader, relying on his towering figure, glared viciously at Yifeng. "You brat. How dare you disrespect the female CEO of the Gong family? Do you have a death wish?" Because he had long heard that Yifeng was a good-for-nothing. Brother Wu thought this move would scare Yifeng. He viciously pointed and said, "Brother Wu is mighty. That kid over there is Yifeng, the high school student. He's the one who slept with the top beauty CEO." They were chased by the gang all the way to school. There was a loud bang outside the door. The three gangsters hired by the public burst through the door. "Who is Yifeng? Get out here, you bastard." The loyal dog Zhong Chang immediately stood up proudly. The person was none other than Yifeng's former best friend, Fatty. Fatty anxiously pointed outside the door at Yifeng. "Run. The richest man's people have already come to the school." But Yifeng patted Fatty on the shoulder. "It's fine, Fatty, just let them come." While Zhong Chang had been waiting for a long time, he had a malicious look on his face. "Gong's family sent someone to the school. Let's see how you die in a bit." At that moment, a classmate rushed in desperately. Yifeng had already vanished without a trace. Bai Xiaoyi, however, firmly thought to herself that she would not give up easily. "I will definitely find out who you are and your secrets." Then Yifeng arrived at the classroom, ready to start class. Such a shameless person in her life. But to get on good terms with Yifeng, Bai Xiaoyi is prepared to use her special abilities and starts digging into her pockets. But when she looks up, then he pointed at Bai Xiaoyi and said, "In conclusion, you owe me compensation for my damaged reputation, compensation for emotional distress, compensation for mental anguish Miss Bai has never encountered." He didn't expect Yifeng to be so shameless. Then he loudly retorted, "Is this how you treat your benefactor?" Yifeng purposely put on a sour face and said, without my consent. You pretended to be my girlfriend. Otherwise, the school bully would already be dead. Yifeng finally stopped walking. He turned around and pretended to be serious, saying, I have no money or power. All I have left is this flawless body. How about I give it to you? Bai Xiaoyi was stunned. Yifeng was just about to go back to class, but the rich young lady, Miss Bai, kept following behind. Hey, Yifeng, I just helped scare off the school bullies for you. How are you going to repay me? But was slapped away by Zhongchang. You bastard. After deceiving Yifeng, you still want to fool me? Watching Yifeng walk away, Zhongchang gritted his teeth. Yifeng, you're ruthless. Just wait. Then, smiling, he leaned in close to the bully's ear and said, Yufei, as my ex-girlfriend, we used to have a lot of fun together. Congratulations on successfully taking over. Zhongchang's face instantly darkened. Yufei was about to explain. He walked straight up to Zhongchang. Just now, he warned the school bully, you brat. You've been given a second chance at life. If you don't want to die, don't bother me again. He quickly nodded and bowed, saying, I understood. At this moment, Bai Xiaoyi sweetly smiled at Yifeng, saying, Dear, it's settled, let's go. But Yifeng pulled his hand away from Miss Bai. How is this possible? The eldest daughter of the famous Bai family, Bai Xiaoyi, actually has her eyes on this loser. Bai Xiaoyi is holding Yifeng's arm. She adds, did you understand what I just said? How could Zhongchang dare to offend the Bai family? It was none other than the eldest daughter of the Bai family, Bai Xiaoyi. Yifeng is my boyfriend. Who dares to touch him is opposing our Bai family. Zhongchang was stunned, mouth agape. You're destined to be unwanted. Zhongchang was already furious. She sprang up and threw a punch at Yifeng. At this moment, a sweet but stern voice came through. However, they were more looking forward to seeing the class bully, Zhongchang, beat up Yifeng. Yufei was so angry that he broke the house. He yelled at Yifeng, who do you think you are to look down on me? I'm telling you, people like you are just worthless. You really aren't picky at all. The trash I don't want, you treat like a treasure. As soon as she said this, the surrounding classmates burst into laughter. He still remained loyal. Now, these two scumbags are hugging each other, deliberately acting all loving to disgust Yifeng. Cody remained completely unfazed. With a look of disdain, she retorted to Zhongchang, I can see. I'll let you go this time for old time's sake. Luo Ti awakens memories. In the past, Yifeng always catered to this woman, even though he was beaten and scolded every day. I can't hear the voice of an ant. Zhongchang was so furious he was at a loss for words. Yufei, not wanting her current boyfriend to suffer, immediately stood up. Yifeng, get on your knees now. In his anger and humiliation, he rushed over. He grabbed Yifeng's shoulder. You brat! Are you itching for trouble again? How dare you ignore me? Yifeng casually replied, sorry. Then I'm leaving. With that, he strode away. Zhongchang was quite surprised. This useless person usually didn't dare to speak up when I bullied him. Why has he changed so suddenly today? Zhongchang's girlfriend smirked. Your useless self dares to come back? Now not only does the richest man in town want to find you, even your Yi family is looking for you. Looks like your life is in danger. Yifeng replied lightly, is that all you've got? And finally dare to show up? Yifeng turned his head to look. The one coming was his ex-girlfriend, Yufei, and the man who had cheated on him, Zhongchang. What a pair of scumbags. The demon emperor felt helpless. Unexpectedly, the owner of this body turned out to be so useless. At that moment, another mocking voice came from behind. Isn't this Yifeng, the one rumored to have spent the night with the most beautiful CEO? You skipped 3 days of class, has now arrived on an unfamiliar earth, only to be publicly bullied by a school bully. Just moments ago, the demon emperor originally planned to use Yifeng's body to learn about this world on campus, but along the way, his classmates all cast mocking glances at him. Seeing this scene, the head of the Bai family slowly began to believe Yifeng's words. Could it be that my life is really coming to an end? At this moment, Miss Bai made up her mind. Don't worry, grandfather, I will definitely find him and get to the bottom of this, the once dominant devil emperor of the galaxy. But grandpa is not angry at all. On the contrary, he looks thoughtful as he recalls the battle just now. At this moment, his granddaughter shouted by the river, look quickly, all the fish in the river are dead. It's as if their life force has been sucked away. Yifeng paid no mind to the incredulous expressions of the three in front of him and turned to leave. The eldest daughter of the Bai family shouted angrily, if you don't want to associate with us, fine. How many people in the Bai family are lining up? Isn't it easy to curry favor? Can we become friends? Yifeng reached out to take the black card. My surname is Yi. I won't be making friends with you because judging by your complexion, you'll be dead in a month. The head of the Bai family was also quite perceptive. In order to befriend such a master, he quickly took out one of the only 5 unlimited consumption black cards in the country and handed it over with a smile. May I ask your surname, young friend? Seeing this scene, the well-informed Bai couldn't help but break into a cold sweat. Meanwhile, Yi Feng remained completely calm. What will you do about the clothes you tore? What will you compensate for them? 10 meters away, the soldier king hit the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. Elder, miss, we've been completely defeated. You need to run. This kick, in both power and precision, was something even top fighters couldn't block. Yi Feng merely raised his hand lightly to deflect it, then released demonic energy, turned around and kicked the opponent, sending them flying. How is that possible? He knocked down 8 special forces soldiers with a single move. After saying that, he dashed forward in a single step, then leaped high into the air, delivering a whip kick straight at the weak spot of the bike. But in the next second, they were all blown away. Yi Feng grabbed one by the throat and asked, "Who are you? Why are you interrupting my fish meal?" The bodyguard was left dumbfounded. He pulled with all his strength. When the white smoke cleared, Yi Feng slowly emerged from the white smoke, rubbing his head. The bodyguard rushed forward instantly to protect the head of the family. The other 8 special forces soldiers immediately charged at Yi Feng with precision. The granddaughter is worried that her grandfather will be robbed. But the grandfather's special forces bodyguard said that we are all special forces in the sharp knife unit. One person can hold off 30. Miss, please don't worry. At that moment, the grandfather's fishing hook seemed to have caught something, greedily consuming the energy of the river fish, preparing to regain his peak. Meanwhile, the head of the Bai family, the wealthiest clan in the province, was unknowingly fishing nearby. Because the Bai family is too famous, luckily, there are many life forms on Earth. They must constantly dilute their life force for the demonic sound within. The day of vengeance upon the demon star draws near. He then slowly walked into the moat, transformed into red smoke, and slipped into the river. I took a punch from the ruler of the universe, just to save the woman I love. Now I've been reborn on Earth. But I don't know how my lover is doing. This body is still too weak for revenge. After teaching Night Tiger a lesson, the demon emperor gazes at the starry sky, feeling a twinge of sadness in his heart. Thinking of myself and yesterday's cosmic battle. The luxury car exploded on the spot. Severely injured, Night Tiger lies on the road. Gasping for breath, he utters a phrase, "Night Wind, you are not human. You are simply a devil." Casting a blood-red symbol with his hand. As the car just drove onto the Yangtze River Bridge, the symbol appeared on the roof of the car. With a gentle grip of his hand, the symbol shattered. He pissed himself on the spot. The demon emperor loosened his grip. Yi Hu turned and rushed into the car with all his might. In an instant, it sped away. Meanwhile, the demon emperor stood in place. The demon emperor leaned close to his ear. "I've never tasted a human before. I really want to try you." Then he revealed his true form, with abyss-like dark eye sockets and blood-red pupils. Night Tiger had never seen such a creature. Then he grabbed Yi Hu by the throat. With just a bit of force, Yi Hu coughed up a mouthful of blood. His face was full of shock. Since when did this loser Yi Feng become so powerful? Using a knife to kill. Fine, then I'll do it myself. Rodi responded with a mocking smile. As Yi Hu launched a furious thrust, Rodi easily dodged it. Yi Hu angrily responds, "Yuan Zhang. What? Are you here to seek death today?" The head of the Yi family unexpectedly is surrounded by so many useless people. Then he pulls out a short blade from his pocket. He charges towards the demon emperor. Clearly, both people in the room had been drugged by him. And what shocked him even more was the sudden appearance of a ghostly figure. This is Yi Feng, possessed by the demon emperor. The demon emperor smiles leisurely. "You must be Yi Hu, right?" But the roses by the window inexplicably withered. At this moment, Yi Hu was smugly awaiting the news of catching them in the act. That's when the secretary handed the phone to her. Upon receiving the call, Yi Hu was instantly enraged. He never expected the plan to catch them would fail. Animals dropped dead on the spot. The next second, everyone kicked the door open, only to be surprised to find Lin Lan alone in the room. Lin Lan turned her head, equally shocked. Just a moment ago, there was a man beside her. Now he's nowhere to be seen. He noticed that Yi Hu's little brother had arrived outside the door, so he transformed into a wisp of red mist and flew out the window, vanished into the city. Wherever the demon emperor goes, plants wither. Yi Feng's body is truly useless. He was actually knocked over by a pillow. But the demon emperor is still the demon emperor. Yi Feng instantly released a dark red magic aura. Then, using his extraordinary hearing, Yi Hu will be able to successfully inherit the Yi family. What a clever plan to use someone else's knife to kill. At this moment, Yi Hu's little brothers are quickly arriving to catch them in the act. Suddenly, A pillow is thrown at Yi Feng's face. You took away my first time. How should you compensate me? He was jealous that Yi Feng, as an illegitimate son, could still earn the family head's favor. So he has been trying every means to get rid of Yi Feng. And the woman in front of him is the fiancée of the powerful Gong Yunfei, Linglan. If Gong Yunfei discovers that his fiancée is in bed with Yi Feng, he will definitely tear Yi Feng apart. Was also a good-for-nothing who was bullied by everyone. At this moment, the woman beside him shouted again, "Why are you here?" Combining the awakened memories, the demon emperor suddenly deduced that this was a trap. The mastermind behind it was the Yi family's legitimate eldest son, Yi Hua. Just a moment ago, as the demon emperor, he was dueling the master of the universe. But now, he finds himself in a hotel bed. As his memory slowly returns, the demon emperor discovered that he had been reborn as a man named Yi Feng on Earth. Yi Feng, as the illegitimate son of the Yi family, woman wakes up in hotel and finds herself inexplicably naked. Beside her, there is a strange man lying down. Her loud scream startles the man awake. He suddenly regains consciousness.